yet, especially with everybody else having to rotate in. They found their spot in zone, and they've fallen just a little bit on that damage threshold. Still above, but by 22, with a couple more surge zones to go through, that's not a full feeling of comfortability, but you're seeing they're being very, very meticulous of when they peak and when they actually go for these surge shots. With everybody boxed up, they know how dangerous and risky it is.
In terms of duos that are looking healthy, Vico, Flixie, gonna be one of them. I saw CZB and Nathan just beside them as well. These are two incredibly powerful duos that can make something happen in this late game. In terms of high ground, it changes an average of 5 times during the matches throughout this season. So especially if you try and take it earlier on, you have to expect a lot of duos to try and contest it.
Okay, meet that. Here we are.
And then very, very careful. Changing layers, going up, down, just trying to peek where's this rotation. Zone pulls forward, gives them a chance to look at pings and walks. No damage really able to get through, but you can see that on the wood, which means they're probably almost out of
I need to up as well.
Are looking very, very thin, and that's why they're looking for an elimination, a refresh for those mats and resources.
Snazy now down below, but you gotta be careful. One of the most risky places to be in currently, as Podesai has lost his duo partner, left the node, but decides, I want to get back into the action. Picks up an elimination.
Okay, I don't even know what game we're on. We're on game 1. Okay, game 1, game 1.
But now eyes are on him. Podesai has to find an escape, and the crash pad might just be it.
Yeah, very early on. We have about 7 solos running around this lobby. Make it 6 as one of them's going to go down. Podesai still doing what he can, but he has no HP, no shields to regenerate, so he's going to have to either find a refresh.
Does it sound okay or is it too quiet? Let me know. If it's too quiet, I can turn it off. I'm just not sure if it sounds okay.
And this is a dangerous position for everybody below. We know how great Mappy is when somebody's flying through the sky. Now picture this with so much pressure.
Is it like too loud or too quiet?
Going down on the low ground.
Issue is, all I see is wood in the inventory. Kiro as well with a little mistaken crash pad into the zone is now
Swizzy and Vanya, we're putting on 28 points. Have they got a kill? They haven't got a kill yet.
They're back together, grouped up, healed once again as they go on to the corner
I might just turn up a little
zone. Clownsky X-Force are now going to be the kings of high ground.
Yeah, it's already changed hand once, and I think it might change again. There's still some crash pads in inventories. Mappy towards the backside of zone. Malibu,
I've never heard of Mercy's. I don't keep up with BU.
Somebody out of the sky. Clownsky X-Force. 4 eliminations, looking for their 5th when that one gets cleaned up. They have a decent amount of material, but they are running out. Malibuka goes for the play one time, doesn't get it, and that's going to be regret because he goes down for it.
Vanya and Swizzy, 42 points, that's so good.
Seeing that Merstash went down basically the whole end game. Swizzy, Vanya, though, both players still up. We can see that the chemistry is strong with this duo. They are clear favorites, and you can see why.
I think Mappy found another elimination as well, but they're just not concerned with that. They're just focused on their layer and nothing else, moving forward, staying ahead of the game, and that gives them the flexibility to look back when they want to, if they want to, and with the materials they're able to get with a right elimination at the perfect moment, Vanyak is able to place all of this space down below, and as long as he stays healthy on these materials, if it comes down to the final 2 teams, he got my vote.
Flipmonk goes down. Probably the duo with the most builds in the match currently is going to be Swizzy Vanya. Up above,
hello, Marlo.
We saw Clownsky and his duo partner had, what, 4 materials? Like 10 seconds ago. They have to be running low short.
7 kills. I don't even know any EU players are.
7 eliminations. Now, going to have to hunt for more.
Yeah, all those solos littered around the lobby are no longer there. It's all duos left alive. Some in a stronger position than others. The zone is going to continue to move up this mountain ever so slightly. Means a team like Radion have to get up, and they have to get up quickly with everybody fighting above. That's a little bit of a distraction, but they take some of the focus. A lot of damage on the Radion. He's scrambling around. Teammate gets left behind. Swizzy and Vanya are the ones that are fighting him, and they both go down for it.
The change in elevation, it's too much for these players down below. X-Force, Clownsky, capitalizing on this zone, making the most of the situation is now all they have to do is look back and connect their shots.
Yeah, nobody's going to be able to contest them. They were just trapped. They were just boxed down below. That one was like taking candy from a baby the moment they got high ground from Kiro and Mappy.
Perfect zones for Clownsky X-Force. All they had to do at that point was play it by the books. They had basically no materials in the last 2 moving zones, but luckily enough, The Zone did pull back, so they didn't have to use more materials. All they had to do was apply.
That was actually a really good game for them, whoever they are. And I beat Axforce, never heard of him.
With that Zone, they cleaned it up, and they secured the victory royale for Game 1 of the UFNCS Grand Finals.
Yeah, even with what little builds they did have left, you saw the crash pad to save them. Shoots out the crash pad, nobody can use it, and with 7
Can you add me on Fortnite? I'll do TikTok streams where I play with viewers.
Take home a victory royale in the grand finals. Takada, things are already
Welcome,
shaking
Callum.
up and looking
Thanks
spicy.
for liking the live.
Look, things are heating up. We have 6 matches today, 6 matches tomorrow, but this is just the start of the grand finals.
Mini Miner better be in this. If Mini Miner isn't here, I'm not gonna be happy. Thanks for
before
following.
that, we're gonna head to a quick break, and then we'll be back for a lot more.
Quick break? Where are they going? It's literally game 1. They're already going on a break. Texas. Oh, is that actually going to do that every time everyone joins the stream? It's going to distribute. Tickets on sale now. I'm not going to. I'm not going to Dallas. In 3 minutes is the next game. Not even going to talk to him. We're just going to sit in silence, I guess, for the next 3 minutes and wait. That was a good kill, to be fair. Is this like highlights or something? I think it is. Yeah, it's highlights. Well, this is going to be pretty intense, let's be honest, Thanks for liking the live, Bram. Okay, well, it's going to be a bit of a wait now. Let's go with his general. Just set them live on TikTok. And YouTube, there we go. Nebs getting a kill. Oh, that was a beam, Jesus. Does he die the storm? No, he doesn't. He's got a proper med casino now. I think it makes it actually fair enough to him. Okay, next game's in 50 seconds. Nebs is already on 400 points apparently. I don't know what they're showing us, to be honest. Hey, yo, lover. Wave the deal on low grounds. Is he gonna win it? Well, I guess we'll never know.
Welcome back to
There's Mini Miner, he's here.
Congratulations
That's
to
okay,
Clown
good.
and Axforce for taking the first
That's who I
victory
like to see.
royale of the Major 3 Finals weekend. And also, actually, we have to say an extra big congratulations to Axforce because, Levin, that's his first ever victory royale in an FNCS Finals.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Axforce has been in a couple, yeah. So
I've never seen either of these two people in my life. I have no idea
really
who these
nicely
people
done,
are.
as the casters pointed out. They sort of took height at an untimely sort of moment for Kira and Mappy. I think Kira won't be too happy with how that one ended for them. An accidental crash pad placement that sort of messed
You
them
play
up. But
Fortnite?
either way,
Yeah, I play Fortnite.
Pound and Axe-Force will not be upset about that, right? They'll take whatever they can get, and the zone sort of played perfectly for them up this mountain, right? Everyone was struggling beneath them, innit?
Yeah, and that's important for these guys because, of course, they are contested over there at Pleasant Piazza. So getting big games like this in the very first games can do wonders.
Good game, to be honest, by them. Next game's in 7 minutes. What are we waiting for? What was a 3-minute break?
Had a bit of an oopsie up over there on height and crash padding into the storm. And just
What a random 3-minute break for no reason.
Materials. I think they only had about 200 between the two of them to go there and take height. Zone did play back for them, but it was a nicely played end game and a game that's going to boost their confidence massively, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Mini-Miner, were you surprised not to
making some
see
good
Twizzy and
points.
Vaniac
He always
really
is,
challenge for height in this game? I know they kind of got separated as we headed into the end game, managed to reunite, but
You
then
know
they
they
didn't
do
really
it
make a
now,
challenge.
11 2K
Yeah,
and
I think
Mini. They do it. Oh, and we're getting an advert. I didn't actually. Okay. Can you play? Can play with you? I'm probably not playing tonight, we're just doing the what's it called, watch party. Probably should have got premium here.
You have been warned. Beware of finding more.
Well, we got a 30-second advert.
See how
I'm not
filmmakers
paying for
brought the magic
premium just to
life.
watch this.
Warner
So,
Brothers Studio Tour London, the making of Harry Potter.
the making of Harry Potter. This is 2 adverts.
Even more reasons
Both things are
to
never
love
that good.
Oreos.
There's Oreo everything now, Jesus Christ.
Oreo ice cream for the Oreo fans.
Don't have that same surprise
Okay.
factor, and I think that's part of why we're going to see them
Yeah,
less on height throughout the weekend. I think we'll still see it here and there, but it's not going to be like the defining factor for them like it was when they won last season.
What's interesting for me now, guys, looking at the standings, is Carcerita 7th, where Vico and Flixie are, and they only have 4 eliminations. Now, that's great for most duos, but Mini-Miner, I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah,
I would have
today we're
expected
just
them
doing
to
a
have
watch
more,
party,
especially
and
as
are
they
we
got
planning
fairly
on playing
far
today much?
in the game.
Yeah, they did. I mean, we wrote them down as the
I've
best
done my
fighters in the
daily
lobby at the
aim
beginning
training and
of
stuff like
the
that.
day,
That's the main
and
thing.
I think we saw a different approach to them. We didn't see them just absolutely W king on spawn. We saw them playing that Surge Tower. I know Vico was sat up in one inside of Reckless, really tall tower up on top of the main building.
I think what people
it seems
are
like
really
they're trying to
excited
just
for
get
is the NA
ease into it,
Central
I
one.
suppose, if you like, for this first game of Grand Finals. No doubt if they need to, they'll pull out some fights in mid-game, and maybe that end game wasn't quite to their standard that they would have liked, but still more to come from that duo for sure.
And also, I have to say, there's more than I expected in a way from Kadaj and Radion. I know we're only 1 game in, Levin, but this is a duo that I feel like we haven't really spoken much about, even though I have it on your authority, they've been around for a while. But in the semi-finals, getting Victory Royale last weekend, I was like, who are these guys? And they're showing up again.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Big ups to Pradaj and Radion. It's funny, I was watching
Imagine
Pradaj
having
play
an
some scrims
Oreo
yesterday,
hat.
right? Obviously trying to get accustomed to the new...
Nah, it's just 'cause I'm watching it off of the,
They were struggling with Surge,
what's
they
it
were
called?
down, but it's good to see that,
Fortnite
the
stream,
scrims sort of
no, the
helped them
official
figure
stream,
something out for
and
this
I haven't
game.
got premium,
Obviously, I think
so-
they're contested today by T-Chips and Deceptor, so interesting to see how they'll sort of fare throughout all the games, but I think the key factor clearly here was Radion just going ballistic in this end game, right? 8 LMs, popping off. When you have a player that's going to pop off like that, you're going to have good games out of it. The key will just be, can they do this consistently? It's game 1 of a 12-game format. You never want to get too ahead of yourself.
first?
by what
Okay,
things
Axel
look like
Surge,
on the
93
standings at
points.
this point, right?
Then
There's
it's-
still
okay.
so much more to
Who
go.
we think is winning?
Are you
I'm just gonna be
expecting
basically
Mini-Miner,
going
Muffy
Malibuka.
and Kiro to pick themselves up again after that fluff on the crash pad?
Yeah, I think so. I know we've spoken about this team quite a lot throughout this chapter. Just of course, Kiro and Kiddo splitting now, Mappy and Kiro coming together. It seems like they have so much to give. It seems like leading up to Grand Finals, they're such a strong team, yet they just don't seem to deliver when it does come to Grand Finals. That might be a little bit of one of those where it's like an example of where they might have a few nerves going into this one, because of course this is their final opportunity to qualify for globals. And it was a really interesting
never
way that this
seen
actually happened. It just seemed like a bit of a
Number
snap
one.
decision for them to
I've
throw
heard
down
of
the
them.
crash
They've
pad
been
and, of
like
course, go
finals
into the
before.
storm.
They've
It
never
just
been, like,
didn't quite
first
seem as though they were
X-Force.
confident and comfortable up there.
I think it was a bit accidental, right? I think Mappy wanted to just go to front side. They're sort of running low on mats, maybe land on a team and just try and get in box, right? And then Kiro steps on it the wrong way and just gets blasted out into Storm. It's a bit unfortunate. I can sort of see what they were trying to do there, but yeah, the execution a bit off.
Levin, do you think that they wouldn't have been in that situation if they hadn't tried to take high ground so early? Because you just were saying they were running out of mats.
Yeah, I mean, that's the story of the season. I feel like a lot of the times we see
You were
teams
in
on
the
high
pause
just
menu.
struggling, and then it's like, we're up here.
What?
What do we do when we're here? We have nothing to play
My
with.
controller
it.
was
I think
moving
we'll still see
when I
them
was
go
in the
for
pause
it
menu.
quite a few times throughout the weekend. I don't think it'll scare them off.
The pause
In
menu
third place on the
what?
standings right now, we do have Prism and Casper. This is another duo.
Oh yeah, we're
I'm not
multi-streaming
too
by the
familiar
way.
with, so there might be a few new
4K subs.
who are the same
Yeah, we will
way,
get into
mini
4K
minor.
subs a bit more,
I mean,
otherwise we're
Prism
just gonna
actually,
keep
to be
going
fair,
back down
Prism,
to
I've
3,999.
quite a few
We're
eliminations.
almost on 3.3k on
the good and the
TikTok.
bad
We're pretty
side.
close
So
actually, both.
tell me,
That's
do you
really
think this is
similar, I
a
just
duo that
realised
can
that.
maintain
Can we get the next game
its
already? I
position
want
on
game
the
2.
standings?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're a very underrated team going into this grand finals. I see a lot of hype for them on social media. It seems like teams, or a lot of people out there do have a lot of hope for this duo. And I like the way that Casper was playing the medkits here
Paste
nice
the
and early
video
on,
of
just
someone
squeezing out those
moving
extra
their fingers
placements.
on
Was it second
controller?
place there at the end? I think he managed to get. So really
What
nice
is
to dump
going
from
on
them.
with
I think that's a strategy that is going to be so crucial that we're going to see from other teams today as well.
Okay,
as
next
playing
game
those
in 40
medkits.
seconds.
Zone's definitely
To say
playing
I'm
their
excited
favour
is
in
an
that game,
understatement.
really
I
close to
actually
where they
cannot
landed.
wait.
So I want to see what they do if Zone's a little
Wow.
bit further.
Look, I don't want to get too ahead of myself.
Mini Mine is still
but
the best
For the
broadcaster.
Mongo and Savage fans, these guys might be laying the blueprint. They land at the same spot. If those
Got
guys
yourself
are doing
one more?
good,
Thank you,
then
thank
I'm
you.
looking at NA later thinking, oh my goodness.
I'm
it's
actually
gonna
excited
be a
for
good
NA.
day. That's what
NA
I'm
is
thinking.
way more excited. Thanks to
can't-
follow Louis.
I'm kind of confused by what you mean by that and what makes it a good day, but we'll chat amongst ourselves, Levin, because it's time for game number 2 with Takata and Jacob here.
Thank you so much, Frankie Levin and Mini. And Takata, I got a question for you. With the way things shaked out after game 1, let's just go right into game 2. I'll get that question right after.
You don't even need to ask it, Jacob. I'm
Weird
feeling
shot
hyped
of a
for
map.
game 2. I want to see how things shake up. We
Hey,
do
boss
have
going classy to
a battle bus
Sandy.
going from north to south, so especially for duos like QNDX and Phantom, they're going to be the
Yeah,
last
them,
to jump out of this
QNDX
battle
and
bus
Phantom.
and begin that early game engagement, although it is going to be the ones that kind of finish that off-spawn
Where are
battle
these
faster
guys
than
landing?
anyone else due to their drop spot. Pred or Predage
Okay, these
here
two. The
with
Regal
Radiant.
Preds is
We
landing in
saw
a gas
kinda
station.
Radiant's
See,
pop
how
off
are
in
people
the
making it
last game. If you do
FNCS
anything
Grand
close to
Finals
that
landing at a
in
gas
this
station?
match, they
Surely
couldn't
this
even
gas
be
station's
enough
not
to
that
put
good.
themselves in that first place spot.
Yeah, it wasn't so much only the eliminations. It was just
Okay,
the timing of those
Axe-Force.
eliminations, keeping them alive, able to get all those resources. Axe-Force Clownski contested over Pleasant Piazza. One doesn't look like it proved to be too rough for them. His
I
and
think they'll
Donde
win
are there as
Spawn.
well, and this is the
Anyone
team that's
died
been
yet?
landing at
Okay,
Pleasant
Cade's
Piazza
died.
for quite a while.
I don't know
I think
anyone.
anybody wants to
Pablo,
kinda give it up
okay.
for free. Yeah, you
I
maybe
want- Pablo is
disengage,
my
but
main
maybe
one I
you
want
fight
to
out
win.
just like this. Great shots
I've been
to start
wanting
off
to
for
see a
Axe-Force,
Pablo
but
from
nobody's
CS
there to
win the
kinda
last 2
follow up
watch
on that,
parties
especially
we've
since
done.
he has to heal.
I've wanted to see Pablo win, and he
Axe-Force now
hasn't pulled it through
continuing.
yet. So we got to see a Pablo win.
Options. So far, he is going to be the one that was potentially put into danger, but with the shots connecting and the elimination picked up,
Okay, he died.
Axe-Force
okay,
now.
Okay. Well, they've won this
done a
basically.
great job
at
to
this
set
point.
themselves
The
up.
2v1 off spawn is basically impossible in Grands.
Yeah, quick
The other
Eva.
guys are running as well, so.
Player's
they
going to
can
go
just
ahead and
chill.
try to disengage out, but it's not too much of a worry just yet. Because it does look
Why
like
do we
he's
hear
gonna be
shots
able
when
to
nobody's
escape, and
shooting?
Axe-Force and Klausy don't look like they're going to go on just a wild goose
Okay.
chase searching for him anywhere else. As Haijo and Kaido
These guys
seem
all
to
wanna-
have won the fight
Okay, they
down
want to
here.
spawn.
So
They
it
got
does
one
look
of the
like it's
best
going to be
drops on the map.
1-1 in 2 games so far. And this is one of those matchups that you kind of watch. 12 games of fighting it out off spawn. Do you really stay here for 12 games? Do you really fight for 12 games? Or do mind games, especially between day 1 and day 2, start to play a role?
I don't know, Jacob. We've seen it happen. But before I get too into it,
Surely the
Stevie
kid's green. Yeah, they're
and
not
his
going to get
duo
my
are
res
going
off
to
in
be the
time, are
ones
they? They're going
that
to
come out
die.
on top. But look at the mini-map, Jacob. They're not done
Seti's
yet.
dead.
Yeah, another team is quickly rotating on
How
over.
is
You have
Seti
the
dive
solo
out
from
early?
Pleasant Piazza in the direction as well,
Look at
which
him
is making it
studying.
harder as Chrome and William. They're just
I'm
breaking
gonna
their
study
way
Kids
in
Along
with no
Grants,
time being
because that's the
wasted.
main people
They
I
spot
wanna
us be on the
learn.
other side. Quickly
I wanna
backtrack
be
to
able
get
to
the
play
resources.
Grand
They
or
weren't
Spawn better,
plentiful, but they
so-
are now.
That's the only one I'm really going to look
Careful,
into.
though. Shots are going to be
I
connected
even know
onto
what team's landing
the duo
Grand on
here.
EU.
Chroma is going to have to be the one to kind of carry his duo through this fight, keep them up. With just 3 HP left, Skavi now forced to kind of play a game of hide and seek, roll a dice, and hope he gets a pair with the
Yeah.
other duo that's coming in.
For Skavi, I think this is a huge blessing. I'm a glass half full type of guy. That duo could have searched for him for quite a while. Now with Chap and Teeny moving in, he could wait for this fight to finishes, especially if Chap and Teeny
killed Teeny
never
a couple
knew
days
he was
ago,
there. So
weeks ago now.
Chance at
Now he's playing FNCS, and I'm sat here. Who's a
around
real
this
loser?
Some trying to use it as an opportunity to take advantage, get some surge. They're shooting
Okay, well,
towards
he's dead.
Teeny's box. He quickly takes note of that, but
What?
no, the glass is half empty now because Smee just got hurt.
Yep.
They spotted him out. 2 versus 1. He
I
finally
think he probably
goes
should
down. He
have just
just
stayed
needed
still
to be
there a bit
patient.
longer if he was that low.
So close, but the thin ice shattered.
If it wasn't Grands,
Jap
yeah,
and
it's better
Teeny
to
were
move
able
out,
to
try
pick
and
it
run,
up,
but
and
it's
with
Grands,
that,
you're gonna
I
get
don't think they
noticed
will
there.
continue forwards. You hear the crash pad come through. Disengagement as well. As Chap and Teeny didn't even get too much damage. I mean, Skivvy had like 3 HP, so 1 shotgun shot. That's what they're going to have in Storm. In terms of Storm Surge, but taking a look at a replay once again, Cammy said he went down early in game 1, and we're going to have a repeat here in game 2.
It's not
man,
good from
Kira
Cammy and
and
Ceci.
Easy just making their presence known at
I want to
that
see
split
Pablo.
drop.
I don't think Pablo's died. Pablo's who I want winning
day
it.
1 to day 2, but a couple teams are
Long time
already
no
losing their
see.
off-spawn
Hey,
fights in
Sebastian.
back-to-back games, so it's really kind of forcing that question.
Sebastian, is there any chance you can go to the YouTube stream? I need the watch hours. And it's better quality. I need the watch hours from the YouTube stream, Seb. So, if you're able to go over to YouTube, it would bless me.
All the experience in the world, especially, you know, they do tend to start a little slow.
I'll still reply to your chats and all that, don't worry.
I mean, we know Cammy Seti. They're one of the 8 duos that have made it all 3 EU finals this chapter. But with 2 games having gone out in the early game with basically 0 points, it's not a good way to start it off. There is a 1.5 times multiplier on the points in day 2, and 4 matches to be played out after this.
He's gonna have
today,
medallion, isn't he?
anything can still happen, but what went wrong?
Maybe he
in
doesn't, 'cause he's
Redline
not
Rig?
dropping it.
Jacob Murstache is eliminated.
He doesn't have
is
it.
left alone.
How is Seti dying? Exactly.
Does they have the loot? Because in theory, we see that he doesn't have the mythic AR, but does he have the medallion? Or we kind of give it up? Because I've seen that before. Teams get to tested, they get left as a solo. They, instead of running away with the medallion, they drop it to try to make their presence unknown. As Dexy and Eclipse kind of out for revenge. I believe that's Turtle and Cheeps on the other side. It's a team that you have to watch out for, but maybe less so now that Eclipse was ready to get 1 elimination on.
Why did he just moan
by himself?
What the hell was that? Why did he just moan down the mic? That was awful.
The 2v1.
How have they got the cameras on screen?
For this duo, but Turtle living to his name here in his little turtle base he's made down below. Looking to see if he can hold off.
And this is almost a little bit worse than his position before because Zone is pulling south for the most part yet again, which means a lot of teams will begin to rotate south, which means there's not going to be too many third parties moving in, especially now Turtle trapped himself into that vault. They're going in. Maybe a different kind of loot. I thought Turtle was going to plan the great escape there for a second.
That was a dumb play by
Dexy
him.
and Eclipse, they just get a different kind of loot from that vault.
Turtles aren't too fast, so it is difficult to make a great
these people
escape.
getting pulled up on as well. Atlantic Clan. No.
With a little confidence boost from those 2 eliminations, might be able to take some shots, I'd say mid-range, from these duos, being Nathan and Sky Scroll on the other hand. They don't need to do anything aggressive with those 2 eliminations, just see if they can get more damage. If they do see that engagement go full on though, and they have that potential for another third party, they could play aggressive, but I don't think it's very likely.
Are you predicting to win FNCS?
Yeah, especially since they didn't get
it's probably
like
going to be the Axe guy. I want Pablo to win.
Pulling
but
relatively
I doubt
towards
Pablo
the
will
center
win.
for now.
He's a guy I won't
We
win.
talked about their performances when they get a north zone. Hey, at least they can work with something a little bit more towards the middle. But now they end up wall to wall with Maxi Mixstick. Another team towards the north that they have to watch out for as well. So they got to pick and choose their battles wisely here.
You can see them taking shots at the opposing duos from afar. Meanwhile, making sure they have their eyes on the player's box down below them. They know they can get taken by surprise at any moment here, so they've got to be cautious. They got to be aware. 2 duos now, kind of rotating past them. One of them up north of Lavish, and the other a bit more southwest.
Yeah, that's a good shot.
Nice shots being
I've been
connected.
practicing
You
my
need to hit those
DMS
shots.
shots. If that was me, headshot.
You don't get too many opportunities to kind of take those shots on duos rotating, but when you get them,
but I have to go to my auntie's birthday party.
You can't miss them.
Have fun.
You gotta be careful though, because they'll start to
Hey,
shoot back,
Jacob.
and I think they heard Nathan's shield get cracked. They're gonna go up. Let's take a look. The red line rig. This is where Malibu was by himself, and it almost looks like he doesn't have to worry. You're no longer by yourself. You're just back in the lobby with your teammate.
I'd be worrying if I was back in the lobby, but I'm still curious to kind of what went wrong. Murstache got eliminated earlier on, and they didn't instantly kind of push Malabuka, so I wonder if they just found him as a solo.
I think we found him.
Pixie and his
That's
duo
what I'm
has. I
gonna
wasn't
guess.
able to see it.
I haven't seen any action from Grand Glacier still.
answer.
That's where I want to see stuff going
Let's
on.
take a look
I
though
want
at
to see
how
fights at
Mystic got
Grand.
this elimination. One for
I
the
saw
duo.
on OCE, I watched a bit of OCE. Luther was
Yeah,
going
this is something
Grand.
that we kind of saw start
Luther
to
and
break
Sync.
out before we went into the
Oh.
replay. It
What's
was
the
actually
controller for?
CZB
Handcam.
that went down. I thought it was going to be Nathan there for a second because Nathan was the one that got cracked by the third party. They instantly heard that and went up, but it was just CZB probably trying to alleviate some of
What
the
he's doing?
pressure.
Watch
He's going
party
to go down
Jacob for
for
the fun of it.
I can only assume that's Nathan all the way back in Lavish Lair. He has no choice but to go back, try to get his reboot card. And the biggest blessing for him is if a bunker opens up back there in the storm, they'll have no worries.
Would be
Thomas
ideal.
HD and Queasy.
You gotta kind of hope in situations like this. the
Probably going to
odds
end
are
up
in your
coming
favor.
second again.
Thomas HD now has kind of, we like to say, that 2024 Storm Surge base set up, blocking those crash pads. But without any eliminations, they are going to need to do a significant amount of
Oh,
damage.
Kami
They have
Insensitive
time.
wins and some Polish.
Deal and Reason.
They
One of
have
the
not
other
done good
8
so far.
duos
They're already
has
dead.
made all 3
Both games
to
they died of spawn.
Grand Finals this year. And rightfully so.
Yeah, you see them just trying to elevate.
I don't know how we
themselves a
managed to
little
dark
bit. They
spawn
don't got the
both games,
massive
but I
surge
can't
power,
remember
at least
who
they're
they're
not utilizing
contesting.
it just yet. Maybe they're still trying to get. They're split up.
This is first,
and that's why you
Axe
can
Force
see they're
and
not just having
Klansky.
that full focus towards the top. They need to be able to close the distance right away when they do
How
have
come
a
you
chance.
put on movement now as well?
Just trying to make sure they replenish as much as they just use. Axe Force, Clownski, they have that one elimination still around Pleasant. Honestly, no reason for them to move or no drastic reason so
They got
soon.
no
They
metal.
did get
Is there
one
even any
elimination,
good metal
some
in Pleasant? I
surge,
feel like there's
and
no
then the
metal
zone
there.
is pulling in their favor, so they can realistically take as much time as they need.
Time is everything in the Grand Finals, both in the early, mid game, even the late game, depending on how much loot you're able to get through your
I
impacts.
feel like the mid games was boring.
The thing I'm looking at though is in the surrounding area of Pleasant Piazza, they don't have too many options right now. Having kind of pulled the zones and being in more a mid-map location. Kiro and Moppy though,
Again, never heard of either of
they
these
have a
two.
rotate to do.
I'm just interested to
Did-
see how many
no,
times
Tweed didn't qualify, did he? I'm
Mappy
trying to
is
think
gonna
if there's
get
any
the
TikTok
mythic hand
pros.
cannon.
Tarps didn't
We
either.
did see after that game 1, Chap Teeny say, hey, we are going towards Rift Island. We're not going to let anybody get it for free, even if that means we have a bad game in one of them, which we did see them sacrifice themselves for that Rift Island, try to get
Why are
that
you
loot.
doing
It was
that?
Mappy, it was
Doing
Kiro,
what?
the ones
Watch
that took them
party?
down. And with that amount of confidence, that's almost scary to go up against a team like Chap and Teeny.
I mean, if you hit a headshot with that hand cannon, it's a clear advantage for the rest of the fight.
He's heading towards another team. I don't know
Looking
if he
in the
knows
feed,
about
Flixie
it.
even picking a player out.
He could get
Oh,
tagged
look
here.
at that though. Look at Prism Jacob.
Yep.
Both players crouched, looking for a 3-2-1
Are you
onto Mappy,
playing?
but
I'm not playing in
nothing
FNCS
significant
Grand
is gonna
Finals now.
Yeah, you talk about having to hit those shots. You got to hit those opportunities as well. Those opportunities aren't going to come as freely
We're
as
just
you
doing a
think.
watch
Players just kind of
party.
rotating the open, unsuspecting, because Zane gets
I am.
closer and closer
Well, you're-
towards the
you're
end.
playing
Everybody's
in
getting closer
FNCS Grand
proximity to
Finals,
one
Milo.
another, and so players aren't going to be rotating around. They're going to be tunneling. They're going to be in surge bases, boxed up, waiting for that next zone.
you can see Queasy Thomas now using minis, using bigs to recuperate that
Okay,
shield they
Milo.
lost when before they could have just pickaxed the slurp cacti. Now they're forced to use all these heals in the mid game to kind of recuperate what they lose getting those surge tags. Issue is in the late game now, they're not going to have too many options to heal.
Oh, this really went
Mappy, though,
downhill for
Hero
those
weren't
two.
too happy with the 3-2-1 onto them. They've decided the aggression now is their side of the
Swapped
play.
up
as
quite
a quick
quick, I
crack
didn't
is gonna
expect
come
all
onto
that.
Casper.
That stair placement was just as beautiful as the shot. Kind of dropped them down into the box. And now they're just ready to get aggressive. They don't want to give them time to heal. Minis, colas, nothing here in a
They're not-
situation
they need
like
to heal
that.
as well,
They get the
the
wall
Mappy
weak.
guy.
They nitro their way in there. Freshly build walls. That's not what you're going to use to defend. They're quickly running away on the same layer. Finally, they move up. That's going to be the best way to escape. But Kiro and
Hey,
Mappy
Pooh.
are just continuously hot on the heels. And they're even looking like they might try and chop them down altogether. Hey, you're
Why
going
do
to
they have
run.
no
We're going to
blue
bring the
heals?
fight back down to us.
Nitro's gonna run out.
Well, they
they
fully
tried
healed.
playing ultra aggressive, but with unable to make it into their opponent's box. Looks like they're gonna take quick breath as the medkit is going to come through. Prism Casper said, okay, we
can't
should
wait
probably
for
get to
mid-game
200
to
effective
finish.
HP and shield if they're going to push us like that. The zone is far, and it is going to start closing in just 5 seconds, so I don't think they're going to make another push.
Yeah,
they're just trying to go out. Hero Mappy going to get some shots, recycle that same crash pad if they so choose. But they can also go ahead and move forward. Even though the cactuses don't respawn,
300
there could
above,
be a chance that, hey,
Surge.
maybe somebody didn't use them. Maybe they can use those to replenish the missing shield, the HP that they might need since now they're staggering back into zone.
Vico, Flixie,
Up
Lunax,
towards the Rift Island. No, I see 3 teams.
He's not up, is
One
it?
of
Oh,
them not necessarily claiming it like they thought and said they would, but Vico, Flixie, 380 above. Even without an elimination, they're
3
always
above is good,
seemingly finding a
fine.
way to climb that Storm Surge ladder.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, but Vico even said it in the interview. I mean, he was feeling perfectly fine with the changes, having not put the Slurp Cacti into their kind of overall strategy for the grand finals. They do have uncontested Reckless, so they have their game plan to get tags, and it's clearly working.
It's working, I guess, fair enough.
Step 1 right now, and they got a lot of time, a lot of space. Even though the position they're currently at will end up in zone, the rest of the island won't. They can just simply rotate around. I can imagine that's their tunnel. I got into this location, so they're just trying to go ahead and pad as much as possible.
Good damage.
So many players still slow to rotate in, and that's exactly what they're taking advantage of. But Vico goes down.
He went down. Jesus.
A miracle that nobody else on the island even knew they were up there or saw that, because that would have been easy
go down.
to push.
He gets up in time.
But I think they did, as Monier is going to choose that
gonna
opportunity to
might
push,
actually
but
key it,
quickly
but it'd be a bit
enough,
weird if he
Vico's going to be
did.
picked up just in time to kind of save them from that aggressive play.
Safe for that moment on top of Rift Island, but now everybody here. Business as usual for the next zone after Rift Island. Fixed Zig zone. It does tend to pull away, making sure it's no longer in zone. Some pools are more drastic than others, and this one does look like it's going to be a far pull towards the southwest.
What's went wrong though? Potosai Snazy. In the last game, they were looking incredibly healthy in the early mid game. Now, both players no more shield left. They're going to have to pop a cola. Snazy, I'm not even sure what he's going to pop. I think it's a med kit right now, as Potosai has just 5 little ticks left in his Flowberry Fizz. It's not looking good for the duo.
Yep.
Kieran Easy still sitting on those 2 eliminations.
Why? What is this face cam they've just pulled?
Seti and Cammy. And this is the first time all chapter that Seti and Cammy have had back-to-back 0-point games. And it's just going to show the pressure of a finals lobby with some changes, being forced to adapt with very little time.
Why do they keep showing face cam? 11 above Vinny tags.
Practice some of these players did get going into this grand finals. And I don't think every single player has even played in that session. So very little practice going around.
Didn't hit. It's not going to hit one. They're 76
kind of the
level.
name of the game, and I would not be surprised if as we
I've
get
no
close to
idea
the end
who
of day
Easy is,
1 or
but-
even into day 2, if things change yet again for these players, figuring out how to play with the changes that
He's
came
got to
out.
get more tags than right now. What he has no enough.
Fortnite competitive.
Hit any damage?
Spirit
Okay. Yeah,
adapting
they hit some. Okay, they're
as quickly
150,
as
but that's not the
possible,
best.
being able to do it better than your opponents. Easy Akira now gonna use that crash pad
At least they got
rotation.
enough where they're above.
Looking
Never
at the
know
map,
below.
kind of where they're rotating towards.
We need to get
They
more
have
points to get
potential
as
to
well.
get
It's the
shot
first
at,
game
but the
to
good
have
news
points.
is
This
that
is a
that
team that
natural
killed
cover is gonna be put into play.
Cammy
on the
and Seti
bridge,
as well.
and a bit of an
They
opportunity
get
to
keys.
refarm, but
Yeah, though.
wasn't
Deal.
worth it. As now,
The deal and reason
Easy's
as
duo
well.
partner's
That's not a
been
good
split
team.
up. He's
To...
left them alone. Akira's gone down.
Yeah, and he got
Was
DMR
that
the second he
pickaxe
peaked.
with
That's
those
such a good
small little
DMR shot,
trees
actually.
worth it. Easy's now gonna have to play the rest of this match out alone.
Yeah, that got me for a second. I go down trying to farm when I don't even necessarily need the materials too much. Zakira is going to have to rethink that one. Luckily, he's there. He can help his teammate out with some vital information, probably some MAC calls, maybe some things he doesn't see in that moment. Just because you're down and out, as long as your teammate's still alive, your job is not done just yet.
I mean, Malibuka
Get that
showcased it in
medkit
the first
early.
game. Got an 8th place finish. I think Merstash got
That's that
knocked
first
down
point.
before any of the moving zones, so getting 8th place as a solo is incredibly difficult. If Easy can replicate what Malibuka did last game, it could be more than enough to
Team
kind of save
Chapman
this
height.
match. Chicho going to be another player. Is he a solo? He is.
Pablo's still
Trulex
alive.
has
I
gone
just saw
down.
Pablo. 32
Ishua
up.
is also 12 below.
And he's
Gonna
below.
get
He's
picked
cooked.
by
There's
Storm
not really
Surge.
even over there. There's that one
All
team
he
they're
needs
not
is one tag.
peeking at all.
Literally just want from any of his weapons, aside from maybe some distance on the gatekeeper. Luckily for him, Chap and Tini are positioned so
Okay, he
high
got
they
to
just
50
can't see
buff, that's
off
good,
the
that was
edge of
pressure.
that mountain, because that would have been an easy push for a team like them. They're looking towards
And
the
they stayed
backside
at
of the zone,
150 as well, so they stayed
where
healthy.
most
They got
of those
cracked.
players have a ton of
He's gonna
distance
turn
to
towards
cover
him
compared
there,
to
mate. He's got
everybody
to
else.
look
As
back.
Chicho
Tags,
still getting
he might get
tagged
key.
up,
Thanks
finds
for the
himself
soldier.
above the damage threshold for a moment and a chance to breathe.
For 9Della. More than enough damage, as they're kind of just looking through their builds right now, waiting for an opening to try and take some shots.
What are you
Shots
doing right
come
now?
through.
I
Nothing
can
is
see us
going to
watch
connect.
Bobby.
It's going to be for Ryan. Flip Monk close by.
See above. He's
One
friends with
window
Bob and
edit
his team
is all
and
it's
stuff.
going to
Okay,
take for
okay,
Della
he's
to
good.
take the shot.
How's Axe-Force doing? Why are they not showing Axe-Force? He's literally first place.
Patience, just
Okay, he's
not
on
trying
high.
to stretch themselves too thin to go for any surge. You saw them just well above that threshold. It's not even a necessity at this point. Art skill, Shaco's
good as well,
comeback
fair
on the
enough.
other side. Just a quick little pre-fire as he broke the
Did two
stair.
pre-fires back to
He's
back,
probably
that's
down
insane.
on surge, suffering to the active damage and kind of his last desperation attempt.
Thomas HD Queasy put into desperation as now they have to find an outing of the position they're currently in.
Three
The crack
below,
comes
man, that's
through. It kind of
literally
gives
nothing.
your opponents
Oh,
the
and it's
idea
Thomas
that
HD
you're
as
getting
well.
tagged by Storm Surge and
He's
you're
got no
incredibly low.
points.
No more shields to recuperate it.
He's 10
Now
above.
just 10 above, but one tick away from getting eliminated.
Yeah.
Oh, barely gets above. I thought he was just waiting. He's being patient. Probably hearing the communication coming out from Queasy. Hey, I shot one. I landed one. That's barely above, though, 10. As soon as they fall below, I do believe Storm Surge will reactivate, taking down Thomas altogether. Not just a knock, but eliminated from the
heals as
lobby,
well.
leaving a lot of pressure onto Queasy. The only blessing that'll come from that is a
They're kinda
lot of
cooked. It's not
resources will
looking
go
good
onto
to them.
Queasy, who would then be a solo. This team is just facing a lot of pressure, and we're barely halfway through the game.
Hopefully we don't have to cue the violins here. 34 above still.
Yeah.
Literally in the blink of an eye. Thomas
If
could
he
end
gets
up getting
tagged once
eliminated.
as
The
well,
rotate's
he's
gonna come
dead.
through. One shot from Kovacs could be it. But it looks like the rotation isn't gonna be through the tunnel, so Thomas and Queasy should have a bit more time to stay up.
Yeah, 297 above the surge. They have the flexibility to go over. I almost think Queasy and Thomas want to go a road a little bit more traveled. And Thomas is just trying to rotate up, over, ends up against Forzin and Gudenbra. They're going to take him down. Queasy's now left by himself, and he's feeling that same pressure. 17 below the damage threshold. A good amount of materials, but really nobody to go and aim at. He's on the side of the mountain while everybody's positioned above. This is a tough position for Queasy to be in.
Shots are coming through, but he's getting put into panic here. As just 35
I'm just
above
sort of,
can
I'm
go
not even
down
saying
any
anything
second
here.
now.
I'm just looking at it.
The good news
Placements
is
came through now. The
he
top
does have a
24.
lot of players close by. The bad news is none of them are currently peeking him. And if he decides to kind of build up towards them, it could be an issue, but I see what you saw, Jacob. Bottom right, mini-map. He has pulled the 8th zone. Prime positioning, but
Hey, Mr. Fat Asian.
everything
It's been
else is
ages since
definitely
I've
not
seen you even
primed up.
comments.
Yeah, this is just going to give him the best chance to get Surge.
Oh,
'Cause
that-
everybody has
that's-
to rotate in his direction, but can he wait that
Nobody's even
long?
gonna peek,
Storm
yep.
Surge is now
He needs a
active.
shot
He is
now,
on the
4
clock.
seconds.
Seconds
3,
to wait,
2,
and he's not
1.
even necessarily going out for
Oh,
the
he got
hunt
tagged.
just
Wait,
yet.
what?
He can't. He doesn't want to give up the elimination points.
Who did
over
he
to
tag for? I swear he
anybody
didn't even
else.
shoot
He
anyone,
finds
or did he just
himself
get
above the
below, but-
threshold. 87. That's a
I think he just
little bit
went a
more
bit more,
confidence to
that's
start
why.
to build on, but 15 HP. This is frightening.
If Queasy manages to even get a little bit of placement here, it would be absolutely incredible. Record-breaking clutch. But just
15
one
health,
shot away,
21
the
above.
sliver of HP that he has,
He's getting
all an
good
opponent
tags,
has to
fair
do is
enough.
sneeze on him and he'll get eliminated. He's
Oh, is he
getting
not
those little
dead?
tags.
Exactly.
It's keeping him above, but for how long?
They've
Can he
been
keep
low
it
for
up?
about 2-3
Yeah,
zones
there's
now.
it's
They've
like
been
a
like
mental battle. Up below
one tick
surge.
away
I'm
from
above surge.
Surge.
I'm below surge. Just a constant threshold changes for Queasy. But that's also a testament to how close the Storm Surge threshold actually is for some other players in this lobby. Monier getting targeted on the outside of zone. Queasy trying to take
Well,
advantage
Big
of
X is
that
dead.
one. And he's
Yeah,
running out
he's
of
cooked.
builds quick. So not only does he need that refresh
He's
for
just trying to get as
a
much placement as he
HP
can. He is
shield
getting
that
it,
he
though,
can
to be
get,
fair
but it's
to
the
him.
materials, because he's quickly going to run out if the zone does pull far away.
Storm Surge no longer active. Queasy, breath of fresh air now as he sees where the next pull is.
And he
He's
survived
not going
that,
to pull
fair
back,
enough.
unfortunately, but
25 builds.
neither does he have to do an incredibly far rotate. He has the crash pads, but the issue is,
He's
Jacob,
kind of
he
high
uses a
right
crash
now as
pad.
well.
One shot out of the air
T's
and he's
up. I
gone.
don't really get to see anyone else there.
Swizzy and Vanya looking incredibly healthy down below. And with just 2 seconds left, the rotate's going to come through.
I'm honestly waiting in anticipation to see what the plan is for Queasy here. It's almost like all or nothing. You have to go for the crash pad.
Okay,
Lands a couple of shots on that
He got some tags
rotation,
there.
but see him falling below that threshold yet again.
Top
More
17
players do
now.
need to go down, making it harder and harder for someone like Queasy to survive. 40 seconds until Storm Surge starts to activate. If it doesn't get below that threshold, the players are falling fast. A blessing for Queasy. Can he stay alive, though, is the big question.
That's the timer. It's literally Queasy's timer. He's 1 tick away from getting eliminated. Once that timer that's at 25 seconds now reaches 0, Storm Surge will activate
20 seconds, he
and
needs to do
start
30
ticking.
damage.
He needs to do more damage. He's just 32 below.
Yeah, he even landed another shot, but doesn't really move the needle at all. There are teams positioned in front, but they're almost full duos, making it not only a tough, but a very, very risky situation. And now that he's fresh out of mats and resources,
yeah, he has
only
went
has
from
to
top 26
wait
to
for that
top
opportunity.
14
Somebody to
there. That's a
rotate
good
on
clutch.
by, possibly a solo, and just try to pop that
And
of the
Surge is
perfect
gone,
moment.
so he's
The
good.
blessing here for Queasy is he's getting all of these placement points.
He has
Top
no
13.
mats,
He's almost
2
collected
crash
half of them
pads.
already.
He
How is he
needs to
doing
look
it?
something
Enough
here.
players got eliminated where Storm Surge is no longer going to be activated, and he's still up.
Yeah, and he got found.
He's doing a great job.
That was a good
Pressure
kill, though.
comes
Not good
through.
kill, good
Top
game.
13 for Queasy.
That
It was a
was
good
still up
play
as
for
well.
what he had up above. It's going to be Della and for
Is
9.
X4 still
Only
alive?
for
I have
so
no
long,
idea.
though.
That guy's 2
Immediately have to
HP.
give that one
Does
up, and
that?
they're going on a chase. Fall damage is real for Della. Maybe a little bit of a mistake for him, but at least he's able to survive. The gentlemen are
They're
trying to
going
be
high.
as gentle as possible with the lobby, but it does require being just a little bit aggressive.
don't see
and
X-Force.
They've taken
I
the
think
high ground,
X-Force
and
is
now a
dead.
chance to look down from above. This is a pressure situation, and they need
Teeny's
to play
dead.
their cards right.
Kaito's dead.
Voltex down below, annihilating
Top
their
10.
opponents, close to 8 eliminations as he's trying to get ahead, but Cool has gone down. Voltex is left alone.
Voltex
The
is
pressure
so
might be
there.
too much as he
He's
just
got
has
2
2 builds
builds,
left.
yeah.
Oh, Medkit's being popped, though. Cannot save it for a heal-off scenario. Cannot save it to stagger
Flexi
himself back
killed,
either.
cool.
Doesn't have enough time in Storm to do
Top
that.
9,
Ninth place.
Gentleman
Half
still
the
on
placement
hype.
points have been achieved. He's so far back. Even
Chap's
Chap
dead.
goes down because of it. No
Chap died
Teeny
of
in
Storm
sight,
as well,
so
yeah,
they're going to go
died
ahead and
doing
end
a
in ninth
major.
place in this game as Vico, Flixie, they're taking the low ground and they're taking full control. Meanwhile, fight is happening in the clouds. Hopefully no
grabbing height as
thunder
well.
happens
We're
as
1080p,
Gentleman
yeah.
gets
Where's
taken
my
down.
mouse? There it is.
Hopefully it's raining loot as the other player just drops down as well. Walks and Pings have now overtaken the elevation above everybody else and now in the driver's seat.
The issue is
Vico's
just 4
first by
builds
50
onto
points.
Wox.
Fair
If
enough.
Ping doesn't have much more, they're going to be in desperation for finding an elimination.
Oh, yeah, they've
but
really
down
had a good
below
game.
in
7
the mud,
kills.
it's Vico and
Top 4. If
Flixie
they win, they're
annihilating
surviving.
the opponents. Already 7 eliminations
Hey,
for the
Dark
duo,
Slip.
and now they're looking height. They need to make that game-winning play.
Yeah, they're looking
That's
deep
like
in the
Mr.
zone. They're trying to
Live,
chop
Nico.
down high ground. Not necessarily to overtake it, but to make it easier to fight him at the end. A little bit of refresh max
Not like
coming
he
in
shed the
needed
life.
for Vico and Flixie. Now they can claim just a little bit more space down low at the bottom, but they run into
Pablo
Pablo
goes
first.
down,
Big
man.
elimination being picked up. More materials, but the high ground, Ping and Wox, they come down to challenge.
Somebody needs to call security. Vico and Flixie are looking unstoppable as now they're forced to make
That
their way
didn't
on
make any
up. This
sense.
is the
Somebody
play I was
needs to
talking
call
about. It's on
security.
the Ping. Can he
Vico
connect
and
his
Flixie are
shots?
looking
They've
unstoppable.
overthrown height, but they have to close it out.
It's coming
If Vico
crashing
wins 2
down
more
for a
games,
quick
I can see
second, but they
assists.
reconnected on the other side. Vico, Flixie saving
goes
the
down
dashes
there.
for the
Does he
perfect
win it?
moment, but
Yeah, he
Flixie
wins
gets
it,
beamed
fair
out of the
enough.
sky. Vico's by himself, falling from above like a thunderbolt from the sky. He strikes and takes the game.
That was a really
Vico, are
good
you
game from
kidding
them.
me?
They
The
needed
1
that kind of
versus
game.
2 in the late game. He loses his duo partner, but the pressure does not get to
That was
him.
a good
This
win,
is
fair
why
enough
we
too.
talked about Vico, one of the most dominant, aggressive duos currently on EU, if not the most, and they are showing exactly why they deserve their spot in the Global Championship.
And it all goes back to resource management, making sure they not only have the materials, they have the heals, they have the position on the low ground, but the biggest thing right there, you see
That was
that
a good
little
win,
skull
fair
on the
enough.
Vico?
He
That
makes end
was
games every
able
time.
to
They are
push
really
him
good,
above,
yeah.
retake the high ground and turn the
I wanna see the
tables
leaderboard
on their
now.
opponents.
Who am
The
I
most
fighting?
dominant
I
high
have no
ground
idea
team
who people
during
on
the
bottom are.
semifinals have done it once again. You said it, the mix of patience, the
Yeah,
mix
that's a
of
good game.
game aggression, and calculated
Hasbro's 60
strategies
kill
to
points.
close it out. Not
It's more
only
points per kill,
with
it's
the
4 points a kill,
VR,
so it
but
could
with
be.
11
That's still good, though, 60 kill
eliminations, that
points
is
and
going
11 kill
to
win.
blast them up the leaderboard.
Yeah, they might have taken the Thunderbolt of Zeus out of the game, but they forgot to take the Thunderbolt of Vico out of the game. But with 2 games done and over with, we're going to throw it to a quick commercial break.
going to go
On the other
stream?
side, we'll
Okay,
see that
okay.
leaderboard.
Go back later. See you later. Oh, we're playing this again, but our tickets are out now. Is this a good advert, yes or no? Oh, Venno. That's showing it, fair enough. Okay, next game is in like 8 minutes, so we gotta wait for all this again. I don't know why we— oh! 2-minute advert! 2 minutes! We have got a 2-minute advert! We're not watching that, we're gonna do a refresh, see if this fixes it. Come on. Oh my god. Who let me cook if it gives me an advert again? Oh, it's giving me the same advert again. I thought that was gonna work. AJ3T. Okay, we are gonna watch a 2-minute advert now. Is it the best? No. Could it have been better? Yes. Fortnite taking an ad break with how many viewers? 18,000 viewers. They just taking an ad break. They must have made so much there. Anyone saying anything interesting? No. Thanks for following. Okay, you're welcome. Okay. This is such a great advert here. Hey, 21 Flixie. J3T, you just missed an 11 kill win. Oh my god, we're getting some adverts here, man. Let's just go full screen again.
The more games you own, the more you're in a league of your own. You're not only one step closer.
I've got a like auto clicker. Am I about to see the like shoot up? Is that what you're about to do?
One step closer to owning the future.
We're starting our descent into Surmajan International Airport.
And being remembered.
I'm live on YouTube as well, J3T. I've got to get the watch time up so I can get some more money off YouTube. So I'm getting the watch time going up on YouTube. I feel like I never stream on YouTube though, so I never really get any views whenever I do. Ah, let's see Oreo advert again.
Oreo ice cream for the Oreo fans.
You demand results. Introducing Veet Expert, our most effective hair removal cream that also takes care of your skin.
This is quite a weird watch, to be honest.
Veet Expert.
If you're ready to quit vaping,
okay.
Nicorette Quick Mist starts relieving cravings in 30 seconds. Discover more at nicorette.co.uk.
What are some of these adverts, man? We only got 30 seconds left of advert, guys, and then we're back to the actual stream. At least it's a good song. The Open University.
Today is not my day. They're so cute. They kind of look like cheese puffs. And it's her. She's gonna love it. When's she coming home?
Here it is. We missed it.
It's our 50th birthday.
That's just
so
weird.
cheesy garlic red dippers or the barbecue smoke.
I even like McDonald's overrated.
Now at McDonald's.
Okay, here we go. That's good timing.
Welcome
and there's
back
Mini Miner. There's my favourite guy.
Grand Finals
Look
weekend. We are 2 games in, and Vico and
Flixie
made good on their promise, in Vico's words, to be the second best duo in the lobby. Although we have to say, Swizzy and Baniak, they've not picked up a victory royale yet. So maybe Vico was wrong. Maybe he's actually part of the best duo 11.
We'll see by the end of the 12 games, right? That's the whole point of this weekend, Frankie, right? So let's not talk too soon. Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I will say, they were looking so strong in this end game. At the end there, Vico hitting the key shots, right? We talked about whether he'd be able to handle the big moments. Mini, so far, it's looking like it.
So far, so good for these guys. Even in the end game, in the last game, we spoke about them getting those mid-game eliminations. They didn't go into end game, or they actually didn't get too many end game eliminations last time. This time, though, they were fragging out hip to hip, doing
I'm
what
just letting
these
him
guys
talk. I don't really have anything to add to
doing some
this.
incredible plays, and it was this one right here at the end. It was the way they sprayed down, and it was actually a little bit after this, actually, where Vico actually dashes up, and it was such a good play to take height. After they take out Pablo, he gives them the green light to go up onto height. Vico gets all of these materials, and then thinks, right, you know what, let's use this one dash that I've saved throughout the whole end game to take height, and the rest is just absolute perfection.
Yeah, really nice stuff, right? Of course, from them, we know they want to be a team that plays towards height. That's been where they've been at their best so far this season. And then the finish there, they took height from pings and walks, they chopped them out, and then they're able to win it out in the end. So a really nice game, a massive game from Vico and Flixie.
That 2v1 from Vico at the end
game.
is
fair
just,
enough to him.
It's the stuff of legend, and yeah,
Can we
I'm
show
just
the
feeling
leaderboards?
optimistic about
Why
the chances
don't
of
you
hopefully
leaderboard?
getting to do that in LAN in the near future. But the game plan was there from the start for these guys. It couldn't have gone better for them, apart from a moment when Vico got knocked out
so
on
bored.
the Rift Island.
11-2K, he does not look happy to be there.
Pick him up, Mini Miner, and talk me through the action on Rift Island, because I think this just shows how they are so
That's such a good duo, these two.
Yeah, it's nice to see. I mean, we spoke so much about their Storm Surge strategies. They're going to be fighting up their drop spot. It seems like it's time to go for this Rift Island 11, try and fight on here, get that elevation as well. It's something we saw a lot at Global Championships actually as well, where teams are actually using this, not necessarily for the loot that's there, but for the refarm of the materials and for the elevation that they can get. And of course, in that game, they got so much.
I'm a 300 above. That's
the key thing, right, that we highlighted with Vico Flixie was their struggle for, or their potential struggle for early surge, right? There's just not many options.
He got
out
beamed
in that
to
Red Controller's area.
died. I don't even know how he just died.
Nice to see them prioritizing Island in this game, right? Because at that point in the game, it's a bit later on, but so many good opportunities for Surge. And even though they did go down, it was just a sign of like how eager they were to just overpeak to try and get the damage, right? It was like, yeah, they go down, it's bad, but it shows good intention from them, and of course, they were able to survive it. Really, really nice stuff from them. If they're going to make plays like this all throughout the day, again, they'll be much better off than I think maybe I was expecting earlier.
They're not pressing the W key as much as you expected, Levin.
I mean, yeah,
not till the end game.
I mean, we've seen from some of the other teams that have been trying it in these games so far, right? It's grand finals is harder, right? People build a lot more. It takes a lot more time. You lose a lot more in a lot of these fights, so it's not easy to just go around running around fighting people.
Yeah, although these two, I mean, at least in the Cash Cups, they make it look very easy. Let's take a look at the standings and find out where we're at. There are quite a few duos who are in the top 10 of Game 1 who did not make it to the end game of Game 2. So it's interesting to see how the standings have been impacted. Swizzy and Vaniac, though, they're a rare outlier. Mini Miner, they actually had a pretty solid Game 2 as well as Game 1.
Yeah, nice to see from these guys. I mean, it's that consistency that they're able to get. That was an 8th place with 2 eliminations after that 4th place with 2 in the first game. Slightly different to what we expected. I think we expected them to go for height a little bit more freedom to do that. But what it's nice to see, they're still making it in games. They haven't been too affected by those.
Still 3 minutes until the next game.
They're still getting that Storm Surge really well as well.
I think Pablo is top 5 isn't it? So actually, I want Pablo to at least make it to Milan.
Not a bad start.
I thought we will actually,
yeah, like
they got 3 edited on there as well.
They can play for it. They still will play for it. We just saw there on screen. They looked up at height. Like it's something that they won't shy away from. But like I don't think we should expect to see them be like the height dominant centric team that we saw last week.
Pablo's
right?
8.
That's not what they've necessarily been this season. It's not something that they can
do
as
always
easily
making it
without having that advantage. But nice to see 2 really good back-to-back games from them. The only other team that had sort of the first 2 games really good as well was Dell and Fnatic. So nice consistency so far.
We also saw Chapantini come alive now. They had a spectacular Major 2 finals weekend. Mini Miner, you're anticipating the same for Major 3?
I'm anticipating some big things from this duo, absolutely. I mean, they've been a very solid team throughout this season. It was a team that I originally thought would definitely be one of the best teams in the region, you know, definitely up there in the top 3. It hasn't been amazing for them necessarily so far. They had a decent end game there, of course, 9th with 7 eliminations. It seems like they've switched up their early strategy as well, maybe going more towards the south side instead of going towards that forecast tower for the fights. Seems to work out okay in this game, of course, making it into the end game. Unfortunately, just not enough time there for Chap to make it into the Storm, but they have to be there.
Mentality-wise, Levin, do you think things are different for a duo like Chapantini? Because they have already qualified for Global Championships.
Next game's in a minute, 30 seconds, guys.
They need to do to make it to the end of the season. Do you think it's something that makes them relax a little bit in the lobby?
Are you gonna?
I think
shall I do
what's it called? For a lot of
NA Central watch party as well.
In their case, I'm not so sure. I think there's a couple other teams I'd say probably is more of a factor.
I actually don't even know what time NA Central starts. I'm gonna end up watching because NA Central is where people actually are really excited for. Yeah. Okay. We'll do NA Central
for those
as well.
guys are still young players who are hungry to just be the best.
I just want to see Mongrel Mr. Savage do good.
So I think there still is a lot more drive in them.
It's way earlier. Okay. I'll check on my phone after game 3.
Well, the finals are
Thanks for liking the live,
Ethan. 4
Ethan.
more games today, 6 more tomorrow.
I mean, that's the YouTube. YouTube streams on 7 likes. That's actually way more than normal for YouTube stream. You know, there's 8 viewers of a YouTube stream earlier. J3T. Some of them I've ever had in like a YouTube stream. They never get any views.
Thank you so much, Frankie. Look, there's only a 12-point difference between 5th and 2nd place. Frankie was talking about Swizzy Vanya being a bit more lower on the leaderboard than we would have expected. But it's 12 points, Jacob. Each elimination is 4 points. They are not far at all. The people who kind of have a little gap going is Vico
always
and
is,
Flixie,
always is.
but that's rightfully deserved.
Yeah, there's 12
I just need the
games
watch
throughout
hours
the
on
week,
YouTube.
and
That's the main
6
thing I
days,
want
6
from
tomorrow.
YouTube, is watch
Even if you
hours.
don't necessarily have the game that you want today, there's still
If it's possible, don't make me watch another advert. Oh my god, I'm great.
I like it.
I love watching adverts. Let's just keep watching them. And the anti-vaping advert.
Things. Sometimes that's just resisting a nicotine vape. But even your willpower can use a little help now and then. If you're ready to quit vaping, Nicorette Quick Mist starts relieving cravings in 30 seconds to help give more power to your willpower.
Great
Nicorette
advert.
Quick Mist, clinically proven to relieve vaping cravings.
NA starts
Discover
11.
more
Check
at
Discord.
nicorette.co.uk.
Second.
Overall, you don't need to win every game.
NA
but you
starts at
definitely need to be
11
placing
on your time.
in the top more times than not. Which kind of leaves just a lot to those mental games as the day goes on, especially if you start off good, slowly fall down that leaderboard. As we head on over to Pleasant Piazza, 2 teams contesting throughout the day so far, Clown and Axe Force.
You clip
Hizik,
tensioning and
duo partner on the other side, and
medal.
this has kind of been the thing. 2 players go towards the north and the west, the other 2 take the south and the east, and then from there.
Oh my god, this was a guy who got us banned as well. Oh yeah, J3TV got banned from Elite Ladder.
Is it a surprise contestation onto
That's rough
Murstache
for
and
him.
Malabuka? Murstache has already taken down 1. They now have the upper hand in the 2 versus 1. But they're going to still choose to play it a bit safe here, recuperate their
Wait, was that
shield,
not?
their
Did you just
HP
do it twice?
before taking that final engagement.
You did
on
the same
solo
clip
that's
to him
currently up.
twice.
But looking at the
Fair
new
enough.
map, yeah, it looks like he's going to try and disengage here.
Yeah, a couple cantry that did go
Okay,
down.
Moustache
Obviously, it's
Malabuka
Pride
very
Falls
low.
by himself. There are some other teams in the distance, but
Well, very low
without
from it,
anybody
you
in
get
the
beeped,
elimination
yeah.
feed, seeing Malabuka and Moustache
that's-
go down, it's not
is
a
that
risk
1
I
to
would
2
take
now
as
to
Phantom
Vision?
and QNDX lean the contested fight back in their favor here, game
Yeah.
3. They're up 2-1 in these
2 to 1,
off-spawn
yeah.
fights.
Seti just got knocked.
Good start for these players. Speaking
No
about
way,
off-spawn fights, I also saw
Sweaty.
Seti
Seti's
go
dying
down.
again.
We talked about it previously. Cammy and Seti had never gotten or had 0 points after the first 2 matches in a final situation like this. However, if they go down yet again,
Why did you get banned? Griefing apparently, but we didn't
matches
grief.
in a row, we can see kind of how Phantom QNDX closed this one out. Looking incredibly dominant. You said it yourself. Up against Kaido and Haijo.
Neb's 28.
A lot of these fights kind of like changing the tides, not even just a little bit, but like drastically, because 8th plays 42nd for Malabuka and Moustache. Most of that Malabuka playing out as a solo. Now with Moustache back into the game, they have the red line loot. So they have
FA
one of the
artist.
greatest
I've
chances
never
in
heard
this
of
game,
him. Thomas
especially with those
HD.
2 games going on. They've learned on the fly as Thomas getting a little
Did we
bit
go
more
land grand?
aggressive
No way,
here
Thomas
in this
HD lands
game.
grand.
And him and Queasy, they've been down on Surge this first couple of games, forced to take fights like this later on in the game. So I'm glad to see them doing a little bit earlier, where it's, yeah, it might be just as risky, but less chance for those third parties.
Yeah, Surge problems no longer.
Seti struggles
Taking
for
out
real.
Kaid and his duo is actually going to be huge for Thomas and Queasy. Hoping they get a bit more flexibility now to kind of
I actually
plan
know
their
what's
later
wrong with
rotations
them with
throughout the match.
how they're
But the
playing.
job's
They're not
not
playing good
finished.
though.
They still have a long ways to go to get enough damage. It has been lower in general than when the Slurp
Are we
Cacti
getting
were
a
in the
replay?
game, but
Oh, that's not a good top.
it's
Need to
still
reload.
incredibly difficult
And
to get
yeah.
enough.
I can only imagine Cade just out of builds. It's like all or nothing in that situation.
Oh. Thought you could hide,
Maybe they're
Mariah.
both out of builds completely.
He's playing 0 build there against Queasy. As Vidil and Reason.
I still think they should do a 0 build
gonna be the
FNCS
ones
as well.
dominating this
I
fight
feel
as
like
well.
a lot less. Not at the same
Clean it
time,
up
but
quite
like
easily.
an EU FNCS and a 0 build FNCS. That would be so good.
Reason for deal. But towards Sandy Steps, this is kind of where they've been landing most of this FNCS. Yeah, there was a couple shake-ups, switch-ups, depending on how well they're performing, what spots were actually open on the map, but now they got a little bit more comfortability there in that spot. As Perhao is by himself, Ju is down, so a chance for a 1v1, but there are a few teams like Trulex and Chicho in the distance, and Perhao takes a
Thanks
big
for liking
first
the love,
shot before he even
J3T.
gets into
To
position.
3K.
That's Asa there on the other side, and he's baiting out the revive, and you can kind of keep it. You can hold these walls, revive at the same time, but not if some of those shots go through and land the elimination.
Asa is now put into panic as another duo comes by. Porhawa as well, choosing to try and disengage, but with the shots being connected, is Trulex going to follow on or try and take out Asa? They know he's a solo close by. They start breaking down the structures to try and kind of hunt him down, find him. As the threat continues for Asa, he's going to play for that initial shot.
Oh, he has to be very breaking to break into the builds. It's only a combat. It doesn't deal that big punch like either the hammer or the gatekeeper. Mostly used for distance, which he doesn't have against Trulex and Chicho right now. Good thing enough, he's creating some, but Chicho's just hot on those heals.
That's such an awful gun to get.
Re-elimination.
Combat,
some
man.
materials that they can add on top of what they have. They're going on a wild goose chase, ringing around the Rosie, around the Nitro Dome for a little bit. They lost him.
Continue.
Did they actually lose him?
For how long? As he's made the great escape now.
I don't even know where he went.
I'm trying to look on the mini-map, but I think it's that
He actually got away.
marker down south of the Nitrodrome. So
fair enough. I didn't think he'd actually get away from that.
Even though he has made it out, I mean, I assume he has gotten the reboot card, so he'll have the potential to reboot, but it's going to be a long route to get back comfortably into the match. For Vico and Flixi, they have been fortunate enough to get the forecast tower this match, it seems. This is what they need, Jacob. I mean, they already have the momentum from the previous match.
Looking at some really good forecast there as well.
This
I want to see how people play Grand Glacier. Is who lands Grand Glacier?
Especially since you kind of think about it for a second.
Pablo,
Who's going to actually fight them for the
oh
forecast tower when it
no,
does
Pablo,
come over
no.
there?
Okay, yeah, good stuff, Pablo.
Edge to edge, coast to coast.
I should go worry Pablo's gonna die there. Pablo's who I want to win it. I want Pablo winning me the whole thing.
Eliminations, a good upgrade on that loadout, but a third party closing the distance. That's Chap and Teeny. Some of those fights might have been easy before, but I don't think it's going to stay that way against this team.
That's not a good team for Pablo to have to fight either.
As Chap and Teeny kind of crouch on in, looking for almost like a sneak attack, a 3-2-1, or even a double pump, if possible. Zoomed in. Now just a millisecond away from taking the shot. Connects, but doesn't do enough damage for the pressure to be on.
Oh, it's just Pablo. Pablo's got 2v1. Chini's won.
He's able to get a knock onto
Pablo
one. Chap
win
gets
this.
in here just
He's
in the
got
nick
finish,
of time to try to save the day, alleviate some of that pressure and get some time here.
Pablo 2v1
Teeny to heal up. There's only so much this solo can
he's
do.
trying to run.
While he's trying to run away, you got a healthy Chap who's just going to go on the chase. Not too many teams land on the southwest portion of the map, so they're just so isolated. Chap and Teeny picking and choosing their fights wisely, and it's already working out.
It's not the best for him, really.
Teeny did a great job staying up there. He kind of got put into a box and dropped down to a sliver of HP, but being able to stay up allowed Chap to come in, finish the fight out from a different angle, still with a lot of HP and shield, and close it out. CZB now alongside Nathan, gonna pick up a couple. Nexi is gonna go down. 2 more eliminations, well, 2 total eliminations for this duo now.
And it seems like their game plan is kind of set forth when the zone does kind of slowly move down. Not when a drastic south pulls, but when it does give them some time to work with on the north side of the map. That's at least 2 out of the 3 games so far. They move towards the north, some even further towards Lavish Layer, but that's where they're looking to get their surge, fight some teams, and try to get their game started, because they are uncontested at Grand Glacier. It's not the easiest thing from over there, looting up and finding any teams to try to drop on.
Look how many duos are in kind of this underworld area of the map. I think I saw at least 4 or 5.
Janus as well. He's gonna die. I don't like Janus also.
For the time to play out, as Janus has been left with Pixie here, low on HP. Pressure's on them. The good news is it is one of the initial zones, so it's not ticking too much. They can afford to stay in here, but what they cannot afford is a big shot from Snazy or Podosai connecting.
Oh yeah, is it like loud enough and all that, J3T? Can you hear okay? Can you hear me better and
They're
stuff?
fighting over at Brawler's Battlegrounds, so they got the loadout that they wanted, and they do know where a lot of those scraps are left behind, so the longer this one goes, I would think Snazy and Podosai might choose to disengage on out. It's not a territory I would want to continue to stay in, as Janus continues to take some shots while trying to back up in his steps. Pixie's there, trying to go ahead and follow
Yeah, that's
parallel
good.
to him.
Go, okay.
Like I said, Snazy Podeside realizing even though the zone is here, we can't be too risky with our situation. We have to pick and choose our battles, and this might not be one we want to go after just yet.
Making use of that POI knowledge, getting a bit of bananas.
Janice found
so
a
they can
med
wait a
kit
bit
as
longer
well.
before popping that med kit. Both duos now continuing to stay in zone. Look at each other, take those pop shots. Good news is there isn't any players directly out of the zone kind of looking at them, but the issue is they do have
Yeah, it's
quite a
good.
ways to go.
I already read that. I don't know what's about again.
Kind of how this kicked off.
Good kill though, to be fair.
Wow. First couple shots
And
being landed. Pixie cleans that one. Pyros is there. He gets boxed up.
It's fake.
Interesting enough,
FNCS
the two
Grand
teams
Finals.
contesting each other at Mount Olympus said, nah, we don't want to fight each other. And then they end up fighting everything together towards Battlegrounds. And that's what happens when two teams employ the very, very similar strategy. One might have done it a little bit quicker, but the second one catches up and throws a wrench in the mix.
We'll go back to Underworld though, with Ping and Wox. 100 points currently, holding their own on the leaderboard. They're currently in a basically three-way tiebreaker with Swizzy, Vanya, and Clown and Axe Force. Clown Axe Force having just one more point. So they kind of want to maintain that consistency to keep their name at the top.
I feel like everyone just waits for endgame
They
when
don't really
they
want to
watch
do anything
this.
too overly risky, even though they don't have any elims.
Wox and Ping, we saw them kind of make it far in one of our previous games, but those are the situations you have to watch out for. They're staggering themselves so far back into zone to where if it does come down to a heal off, even if they have 6 medkits, it lessens their chance due to the Storm sickness. So you gotta be very, very careful.
Welcome.
You know, they're just doing it because they need the surge. Prism and Casper, they have their plans split up. Prism just rotating around, trying to get scraps, upgrade the loadout a little bit, but Casper is well above. Position on that mountain that almost looks like a skyscraper. Builds a box on top of it. And just trying to get shots on any of those teams, slow to rotate from Redline to Brawlers or anybody else that's using this path as a rotation.
Kind of like this setup. They don't have to use the initial mats to kind of make the frame of their surge base.
I have no idea who that
The
is.
zone is
The
going to pull
awful
away from
guy.
them most likely
Never
now.
heard
They
of
are
him.
on the edge of it. As we'll take a look at Predator and Radion. Looking to see if they can kind of make a comeback from that game 2 where they didn't get as many points as they would have wanted. We talked about not missing these opportunities you get to land these shots on players rotating around you. In Grand Finals, you don't get too many opportunities, so you have to capitalize on the ones you do get.
Fair enough.
So a lot of players trying to prioritize their rotations just a little bit more. And some knowing even if the zone is far away, you saw that team that kind of just bounce padded out. They're just trying to get the scraps that might be left over from the bunker. But as Radion, you got to watch out for Desi and T-Chips. Howard just got taken out of the backside of zone, so we're looking a little bit more crowded in that area.
Secret medallion?
Rift
No,
Island appears,
Mustache.
you know as well as I do. There's a lot of teams
Mother
that are making
Booker
big
medallion?
statements about
Do either
playing
of
in
them?
that Rift Island.
Yeah,
But
okay,
it's
Mother
up to
Booker
those
does.
that actually go up and that are really to make that risk that seem to be benefiting for him overall.
Alabuka and Mustache have been having a bit of trouble this time around. Meanwhile, we can see kind of the effect of the Slurp Cacti. We've had an average of damage required in the 7th zone to be 771 damage, Jacob, today. Okay, but last week in the semifinals, when the Slurp Cacti were active in 7th zone, it was 900 damage. From
200 more, that's not that much.
71 to 900. So you can see you don't need to get as much damage, but it is more difficult to get that damage if you were using the Slurp Cacti strat before and you're not doing it anymore.
That's why when you look around at certain teams, it's
2024 Surge Towers.
all about the little moves you make throughout the course of the game. Left instead of right, north instead of south. And the way some of these teams have practiced, you know, they kind of get used to zones pulling in one direction. So when we kind of get a mix-up here in a grand final style lobby, they kind of stick to their game plan and they switch up just a little bit later depending on what they're doing, how they're doing.
Thomas Crazy, once again in their base.
That's really a base, Jesus.
Even
That's
though they do have a good line of sight of a lot of players rotating around them, they've still had trouble getting enough damage. We'll see if those 2 eliminations off the start, though, is going to change it up this time around. They're still doing their same surge strat, but now they just have a little bonus from that early game engagement.
It's got good mats as well. It's got good goals, but what do you really need goals for?
5th in the 4 FNCS finals they've played together. 46, a little bit of a slow start here in day 1 of the grand finals.
Why did it say that? Thomas and Green,
they have so much experience underneath their belt. I feel like they know how to react. They know how to change things up. Just want to see them kind of adapt just a little bit quicker. They started that here in game 3. They went for an early game fight towards Classy instead of just straight rotating toward the south. So this could be the game that they need to shake things up for themselves.
I'm going to look at the gentleman duo now as they have more than enough ammunition to take shots at their opponents. All they have to do is land them. Looks like duo partner did get tagged a little, so it's going to be forced to use a big pot. Talked about it earlier now. If you do get tagged while you're looking for these shots, you are going to be forced to use your heals. You don't have that kind of free cactus you can use, so you got to be a little bit more conservative on how you're peeking.
I'm sure it was a great point, whatever he said.
Those openings.
Kind of standard business as usual. Good portion of the map littered with certain surge towers all around. And just because you have a surge tower doesn't necessarily mean you're getting all the surge in the world. It just ups that probability of you being able to not only spot somebody people, but connect those shots as well. Because if nobody rotates near your surge tower, it's kind of all for nothing. As Teeny and Chap, we saw them pick up a few eliminations already today. 590 above that damage threshold. So they're just kind of waiting, seeing what information they get throughout these next couple of zones. Do they have to rotate? Won't they? They even have the Nitro ring there if they do need. They can position themselves near that and get ready for the next rotation. They're just giving themselves a lot of options to work with.
2nd and 3rd place already gone down in this match. Taking a look at how Vico and Flixie are currently running away with it. Good on damage, good on mats, good on loot, good on ammunition. Are choosing to do kind of a bit of a safer rotation, play it in zone.
Already what,
they have
40 points ahead?
So,
They haven't even
time to
had
do so, and even the damage to do so. So I'm excited to see how they kind of set themselves up here for the later half of the end game.
It's so early, they don't have to worry. Crash pads, Flowberry Fizz with the forecast tower. They're gonna know how to get in there. Scroll is gonna know how to get out. He gets taken down. That's one way you didn't expect to return back to the lobby. As for Zen, Gudenbrett, they get that elimination, but there was another team just north of them, and then another team north of that. And guess what? The zone pulls towards the north. The biggest blessing for them is they don't have the farthest pool in the lobby, so it's just all about timing of when you rotate.
Also, good news is no other duos decided to push them after that initial engagement. So once they cleaned it up, they had the freedom to pop those med kits, that Flowberry Fizz, recuperate all the HP and shield that they lost. As now we look at sort of a turtle war that's going around here. Mappy, with only 19 damage above the threshold, is going to be forced to kind of look for these shots, play it a bit risky. They have the shields to recuperate it, but with 2 different duos being on the opposing end of this box fight, it could even open an opportunity here for a third party.
Yeah, Yanis Pix were instantly getting sandwiched there. That was Mystic Max.
I feel like I need to talk
to him. So they really had no choice. The first team they saw. I was gonna say for a moment, luckily enough, it was Yanis and Pixie who were distracted by Mappy and Kiro for that moment, but they quickly turned that thing around. No surprises for them because they're prepared at every single turn of this game.
Pixie and Yanis are gonna be the ones that truly got the upper hand in that situation, though. You can see how much damage it's put them at. Those 2 eliminations. Let's kind of see how it looked like from their perspective.
Just run straight in there.
Oh, wow. Big first shot from Pixie. A little slow to rotate on out. He nitroed into the box, but that aim is what matters. Basically takes him down to 1 shot because of the earlier damage to Surge. And that's going to go ahead and alleviate them just a little bit. Almost 500 above the damage threshold.
Thomas is gonna get knocked as well in the feed.
Oh, let's not talking more. I need to wake up before falling asleep while watching this.
Shield on this rotation.
Okay, we got Pixie, Janus, 74 points.
It's all gonna be up
31 teams up, 6 teams up placement, 600 above in Surge.
Just in the edge zone, this is where it starts getting chaotic.
Is Maxi on the other side? I can only imagine he's down on Surge yet again.
Oh,
His desperation plays are telling of the position that he's in. He goes down and goes down quickly at that. Focus and Belusi are next, trying to knock on that door. And that's just an interesting situation because now everybody's just stacked together. You see the mini-map, more than half of the teams on this side of the map with a max pull for everybody after these fights finish.
You gotta be careful.
Imagine being on dead side right now.
Here, it's instant danger
Basically,
the
every single one
teams to kind
is
of
on the
start
side of the
taking
map.
shots on
Being
you,
dead
so
side
you
right
do
now
have
is
to be
huge.
careful. I'd only do it
Only
if you were
worry is
forced
actually
to,
Surge,
because you
so
didn't
never
have enough
mind, it's not
damage
huge.
done. Matthew did pick up a quick elimination, though. That's huge for this duo, as they were just on the borderline of that Storm Surge threshold. You can see 5 above, but with this elimination, it's brought them right up to 100.
And that's just an interesting decision for a lot of these teams. You know, Storm Surge, before it was the Cactuses. You dictated your game plan around that. Now Storm Surge is forcing a lot of these early game fights.
Take a look at Radion.
This is shambles. What am I watching? Literally everyone's fighting. It's gonna be not top 10 by the time everyone gets to the zone. What is going on?
Only 3 builds left. He's gonna be forced here to try and stay up as long as possible. The issue is if Malibuca and Merstash know that Pred is
Jesus,
right
he's got
above them in a
we've had
cone,
such a winnable
it
game
could be
without
free
you.
pickings. The good news for Predage, though, Merstash, Malibuca are going to continue with their rotation and see if they can make it up the hill.
Now I'm loving this team right now because, like I said, he was doing it almost all by himself.
Shambles?
In a
No
couple of
idea
games
about
now
even
with
this.
Mustache,
Just
so
at 3.4
qualifiers, they
k
found
likes. I
themselves
think it's
multiple
frozen now,
times
by the way.
below that damage
J3TR
threshold. Now they have a
1.2k.
huge strength in numbers, momentum slowly but surely building on their side. And if you look at where they're at in zone, yes, this next rotation is going to describe a lot, but now they got themselves a lot of space between them and everybody else. As Mappy has no choice but to go in. He's trying to save his teammate. He did more than enough by the time, but it's Chapentini underneath who finally cleaned that one up.
I have faith in Mappy here. He can close it out. It's going to be left as a solo, but we've seen this happen time and time again. He has more than enough resources
yeah, it's going to be a visual
to clutch
glitch.
it up.
If you leave and rejoin and close takes up rejoin, it'll say 4.2k.
Let's take a look. It's 8th zone. 38 players are up. Let's see how long Mappy can last.
And you got some Max Mats, Crash Pads, Flowberry Fizz.
Broke it down. He's
Not
555.
sure
Actually, he's vibing. Yeah,
fresh out of
555.
that, but he's making sure that he has everything he needs, especially with the zone pulling back. He gets the med kits, chooses to go without the Nitro because he has his bets hedged in that Flowberry Fizz Crash Pad combination.
Swizzy Vanya going to continue taking some shots. Seeing how they
Swizzy's
can
carrying
get the rotate
combat.
in. Crash Pad is looking like the correct
not
idea
you.
here.
Bro, that's
Flowberry's
not
gonna
you,
be
there's
popped, give them that
commentators.
initial momentum and height boost for their rotation.
What?
Clean rotate on in. Yanis Pixie, similar situation.
One,
Both duos
almost
now
on
going to make it
200
in. Vico and
points.
Flixie, though.
They
still a little
basically,
ways
they're
to
going to
go.
end up winning
Yeah,
in
this is looking like a game
FNCS.
where a lot of our more known names, the juggernauts that are regulars here on the region, all getting stacked up here, having the best chance to make it to endgame. Vico and Flixie once again moving towards the front side of the zone. They play a lot of these low ground layers early on, and they wait to take it if that opportunity presents itself. But another team positions themselves in front. That's Chapentini. They're trying to make it hard. They sandwich out Vico and Flixie as two teams start to take notice.
They know how many duos could be dropping on top of them with their crash pads. They have to be cautious on which
500
angles they do
SMG,
decide
they
to
could
open
spray
up.
way more than they are.
But so far, they've done a great job at exactly that. Chapentini going to choose to build up a little bit as they've seen that they have pulled this 9th zone. It's going to pull right back towards Reckless.
Yeah, now they have the option. They can stagger themselves back. They can focus on maintaining their position above. It is night zone, though. Might be too early for some, but they are going to have a chance to look back. Just like I said, all these teams flying through the sky. Crash pads are not. They're going to be a simple target for them.
That's still a bit early to take high at first move.
Landing a lot of damage on a Chapentini.
So many people that
Multiple teams are doing just that.
High,
Some even position themselves above them. Swizzy Vanya are one of those, but they're 33 below the damage threshold, and they're quickly looking on the hunt.
Are they going to choose to take it? They see some options down below. It's Chapentini. He takes the initial shot, 85. It's going to be more than enough to put Swizzy in a safe situation. Vanya doing the same at different angles. They know they need a bit of damage, and they've gotten it.
Yeah, especially with everybody, his tagging players, shooting shots all around.
Swizzy on 3 kills.
Notice that he is above you, but they quickly get onto that one, just like Swizzy, Vanya. They're trying to rotate on out. They take a lot of damage on their way there, but they're doing good because they've elevated themselves
I'm live on
low
YouTube,
from
by
that
the way.
chaos that's down below.
And either
Double
way, I'll check
Flowberry. It's going to recuperate all of the shield, but it's going to be Merstash and Malibuca taking shots at the team that's currently holding on to height. It's Chapentini, but with Teeny getting cracked, Malibuca, Merstash know that they might get an opportunity soon.
Yeah, very, very healthy in materials, though. Gotta make sure Malibuca and Merstash stay that way if they want to contest it late in the game as they're scrambling around towards the front side of the zone, giving themselves opportunity and time to look back. One player is gonna get past, but Pink's gonna have to go ahead and
I don't have storage for YouTube anymore. How would you have found that storage where you don't have
It's gonna be difficult this game. There's so many duos that are up that do tend to try and take it later on in the end game, but look at how many builds Chapentini are putting down to secure it. Vico is going to be split up from his duo partner, now forced to switch layers, has no materials, needs to find an impact.
You see they're just trying to use the crash pad to try to break into boxes, catch anybody off guard, and Swizzy's the one they found. But another player moves to the backside of the zone. Everybody's running out of builds. They're forced to recycle, and that ends in this type of congested layers at the bottom. It is so messy. It's muddy. I don't know if anybody can pick up their feet one after another, other than Malibuca or Merstash, who are looking to dominate the low ground.
Call the cleanup crew. Malibuca Merstash gonna pick up all that extra loot from the chaos down below. Now with the option to go on ahead of zone, play the front side, and continue throughout this late game.
Yeah, they're looking stacked like pancakes right now. Any team that even gets close, Malibuca or Merstash, just push them off, whether they get the elimination or not. Another player's gonna feel the pain of that one as they continue on. Teeny's forced to drop down. Chap's the one staying up. Teeny has to play Disruptor. Chap's out of builds, and he's running out very, very quickly. If he stayed up above, they would have been long gone. And this is their chance now to retake and reclaim that high ground. They have 5 eliminations, a lot of resources being recycled and siphoned off of any player they took down.
Teeny did a great job dropping down to refresh on his materials. Merstash, Malibuca are both looking healthy, though. This is going to be the prime threat for the duo up on high ground if they're able to get out of this situation.
Vanya by himself. We just saw T-Chips go behind that wall, and he's going to try to take advantage. Pieced off, but T-Chips is still there. Vanya has no other way to go. Zone's pushing him forward. Instead of fighting the fight, though, he knows we will meet again later in this zone, but he goes down. T-Chips with a monster shot to take out Vanya and move himself into the top 3.
So annoying. Is that your hand cam? Yes.
For T-Chips, but he's not done yet. Merstash goes down. It's Teeny now cleaning up, keeping his duo strong. That's the second elimination. Malibuca is the last player left in zone. How many medkits does he have is the question.
Hopefully he has a bunch, because he needs to outlast the rest of this one. He's going for it. One left in the inventory. He knows he has to crash back towards the front. If you want any hope at this one, Teeny, Chap, they go ahead and aim at the sky, and Malibuca falls down from above. They take a huge win, and they take it by force.
Second place for Malibuca Merstash. Chapentini gonna be the one securing the victory royale. They held height for a majority of that late game. You can see how having so many materials paid off. They were able to show the dominance from above, apply the pressure when they needed it most, and Teeny dropping down to replenish those mats in the last moving zone to keep the dominance going. What a way to finish it off.
Yeah, I was looking a little risky when they finally dropped down, but it was for good reason. Teeny separating the Malibuca Merstash duo. T-Chips, we knew he would have just a sliver of HP left, and whether they had the med kits or not, Chap and Teeny had all the time in the world to follow the zone, knowing, hey, you're either gonna have 6 med kits or you're gonna have to fight us for the game.
I honestly thought one of the opposing duos was going to contest them. Swizzy, Vanya looked like they had the option to, but then one of them went down, had to play as a solo. Malibuca Merstash put into a similar situation, and overall, Chapentini closed it out. Before we go back to the desk, we are going to go to a quick break, and then we'll get right back to check out that leaderboard, so don't go anywhere.
Another quick break. I'll be back in like 5 minutes, so you know, enjoy the advert if it plays one.
Thanks for the gifted.
Daddy, chill.
Okay, I'm back. Here I am. Wow, did we miss on anything while I was gone? Probably not. Let me put my headsets back on.
Welcome back to FNCS. And you know
Welcome
what?
back.
I almost feel like
Miner, there he is.
who will be
Thanks
taking
to the gifted.
that third
Thanks
victory
to
royale.
Flame
Because
Hearts.
Lev and I spoke to you about Chapentini and whether they could have a fantastic Major 3 final. And you know what? A victory royale is not a bad place to start.
Absolutely. I mean, Chapentini were one of those teams that, you know, very much have just been on everybody's minds this season.
And we
Different
got 5
reasons
minutes
at
till the
times,
next game,
but
guys.
ultimately, when it comes to Chapentini, there's a couple of
Are we
things
excited
you know
or are
you're
we
gonna get in your
excited?
mind. That is aggression, that is eliminations.
That day we
is
go
high
take
ground
my spot of
dominance,
the
and we
gifts,
got
shake
all of
my
those
head.
things in this game.
Yeah, what's happening with you in gifts? It's quite a letdown, to be honest.
Since the beginning of the game, they
Oh
went
my
all the
god.
way over to that beach on the west side of the map to try and take
died.
that
He
fight,
got knocked
get
off by
that
Chat.
early storm surge damage, and get even a little refresh in the late game there
It's-
as well.
it's
which
honestly
is
quite a
what I
letdown, Paul,
expected
to be
teams
honest.
do. I expected teams to play height like this. I expected there to be a team. I didn't know it would be Teeny and Chap. Maybe
Good
that
shot
should have
from
been on my
not
radar,
slash
but
Genie
I
there.
thought we definitely see a
really
team that
good
was
shots,
played
actually.
so much higher than the rest of the lobby. It seemed to be the only strategy that worked during the semi-finals. So I'm surprised we
£1
haven't
in my
seen
bank
that up
cards.
until now. But it seems to just
It only
be,
costs
the
30
strategy
pence to
take
get
height and
20
then hold
coins.
it
That's
throughout
all
the
I'm
rest of these
saying.
games.
That's all I'm saying.
It was really interesting as well because their timing was everything with the mats. I feel like there's less experienced teams out there, Mini Miner, who might have struggled to actually
4 minutes.
I guess save enough for the build. Is that something that's really hard to learn?
I think what's
She
hard
looks
as
like
well
she's
is
lagging,
to
to
not
be
only just
honest.
get up there. Yeah, we saw them get that elimination, then go up under height. A lot of teams will do that. It's very, very difficult then to maintain that. We saw Chap then going down. I think it was Vidal that he took out, went and got those materials, and then they were able to build back up. That's the difficult thing. That's the thing that a lot of teams struggle with, particularly when they're a little bit lower down as well, and so many teams are crash padding up. It becomes so difficult to find those refreshes.
He makes
So
some
that's
good
what that team
points,
really
that
did
Mini
really well
Miner
in that
guy.
game.
He makes some good points.
And Murstache and Malabuka, they look like
But
they
when
were
doesn't he,
considering
let's
maybe
be
trying to
honest.
steal high ground.
And he
but in
looks-
the
he
end,
looks
Lev
really
just were
amazing
like,
while
you
he
know
does
what,
it.
We're going to just try and chop him.
He looks
We'll stay
great
on the
while
low
doing
ground
it.
where we
That's
can
on
get some
Masters as
elims
well.
and cause misery for the guys up top.
That felt like a really different game for Malabuka and Mustache. They were so disciplined. It wasn't the Malabuka and Mustache of
Thanks
old
for the
that were
gift.
uber aggressive for
Thanks for
refreshes,
the 4
and just
roses.
jumping in boxes. There were opportunities for sure where they could have just jumped in. Even there, right? They get a big tag onto
I need
Deceptos.
to-
Back in the day, you would have thought Malabuka and Mustache, they just jump in, get the refresh, get the mats. But this game, a lot more patience to it, playing out the mats that they had, and it did them well in the end, right? I think, you know, you expect Malabuka and Mustache Mini to take a lot more risks. That just wasn't them in this game. And I think maybe we'll probably see a bit more of
go.
that throughout the day. I think they probably will continue to play like that.
Yeah, I hope so. I
mean,
think it's one of
yes.
those teams that we spoke about earlier on in the season, right? Is having that
3 minutes till
put
next
the
game,
brakes on a
guys.
little bit
Who's
in these
first?
end games. I think it was
Vico,
either in the
I don't
semi-finals
know
or in the
how else, like
qualifiers.
really
I can't quite
Vanyak
put
seconds.
my finger on it, but it seems like this team have
Pablo,
just
let's see
adjusted a
Pablo
little bit
anymore.
into
It
these
did die
mid-game layers,
either.
not just jumping in boxes, which is nice to see from them. What else I noticed in that game from those guys as well is they were just riding on the edge of that storm surge. They were getting those tags, but they were also taking a lot of damage as well, and that's where that medallion really comes into play. We saw that in the mid-game. They were able to regenerate so much of that HP so easily, and that helped them get to that end game and have a really good game.
Yet again, Swizzy and Vanyak currently in second place on the standings have proved that they are a duo that just know how to keep up this consistency level. They weren't really in a position to challenge for high ground this time, but it didn't really matter. They just played for some well-deserved placement points.
No, it doesn't matter for these guys. They are sublime. I mean, in so many different ways. I think one of the key facets of why they're able to get to endgame so consistently.
Let me just see my
It's just that
own
timing's
bank
always on
quickly,
point,
see if
right? When they
I'm gonna
rotate,
order
right?
food.
You know, we know, they like to play for early timers a lot of the time and just be ahead of the rest of the lobby. And they just always seem to be in those positions to do that. But again, in this game, nice clutches as well, right? We talked about that being the defining factor for them in the last grand finals. If they need to clutch up, one of them seems to always manage to do it.
We're also seeing Pixie and Janice go up the leaderboard now, so maybe this is a duo that's starting to find their groove in the grand finals.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's a team that I always had questions about, right? Because it's like you have a very experienced player in Janice. You have a player that's sort of, I guess, on the come up. He hasn't been, on the come up for he hasn't been in grand finals for too long, right? I think he performed a lot in major or in chapter number 4, right? Was Pixie with Wox, I believe it was. So he sort of burst onto the scene then. I was like, is this team really going to perform too well uncontested at Brawlers Battleground? I thought they'd have a few different strategies when it comes to the early game, but the late game has really surprised me, Levin, as to how well they're playing.
Yeah, it was a clean endgame. It was a clean endgame.
Should I make a poll?
We're
gonna make a poll.
Back end when Pixie went down.
How do I do polls
this
again?
This is a team that I think when you look at the circumstances of Brawlers that game, they obviously got W keyed by all the Olympus teams, right? And so they had to sort of wrap around and storm a bit. So it wasn't the most comfortable games, but they made the best of it. So that's a good sign for Janice and Pixie fans. Again, it'd feel weird to have global championships and not see Janice there, right? Janice seems to have been involved in all of the greatest moments in comp history. So really looking forward to seeing how those guys progress over the next sort of 9 games now.
I wonder if Pixie's bringing some WK energy to Janice. Obviously,
30
they're
minutes.
not going full throttle, as you say. They're being balanced about it. But we are really seeing Janice light up the elimination feed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when
okay,
you look at
new poll out,
Pixie's
guys,
kind of
on the TikTok.
It inspires confidence in you. When you can trust your teammates to win their ones, win their fights. They're gonna be there backing them, right? So
new poll on the TikTok, and we've got a 44-second advert. Come on, and it's about eating as well. It really fits the theme. It really does fit the theme. Guys, make sure to vote.
Oh, make me over. I'm all I wanna be.
I like it.
God, it's only 2 seconds left of adverts.
It's from 46 to 5th. Anything's possible. The battle bus is ready. Let's get right into the 4th match of the day.
Fourth matchup today, and
what
Takada
message is
said
really horrid.
meant so much to me, because throughout history, even though the bottom or the lower you are on the leaderboard, the harder it is to come back for the big win, there's 10 spots for the global championship up for grabs. If you're out of sight for that first place, you better be in sight for that one.
Easy and Akira currently 3-0 in terms of off-spawn engagements against Cammy and Seti. Will this be the match they turn it around, though? As it looks like they do have the upper hand. Seti now has picked up Easy.
Oh my god.
2 versus
they actually might win
1
on spawn for once.
as the duel
Only took 4 games.
Yeah, no. I want to say Cammy maybe even picking up a spare shotgun to toss on over to his teammate. Kira's just long gone. So even though it does look like they're going to win the contested fight, it's not going to be a full-on wipe like some of the games that we have seen before. I did see in the feed that Cryfoss was down, but so was Merstache. Or I should say Malabuka, but Merstache saving the day this time around.
Go Merstache.
This is what I want to see. When these guys are able to play as full duos, they're able to make it far into these end games. A second place in that last one with 5 eliminations. This is one of those sleeping giants that I was talking about finally waking up.
Now they're going to be able to pick up the mythic loot once again, the medallion, and continue out their match in Redline Rig. The good news here, as Malabuka having not gone fully down, is that they are not going to have to play the reboot, and the players in the surrounding area won't kind of use that opportunity to third party. So not too bad for Merstache Malabuka. They are on that first page in the leaderboard. I would like to see them a little bit higher throughout the day, but 6th place is not bad at all. All they need is one big match. Nebs and Kiduo, though. Looks like they might be wanting to take some trades here.
Yeah, for that moment, I was just thinking, like, for Lox and Chroma, just don't get headshotted with that DMR, because they will push you. And
I am going to wall the food. I've made my decision.
To protect themselves, they just disengage.
Okay,
on that. They
YouTube chat. You won't be anyone watching, so I don't know why I'm bothering to say it.
Just a rotation. They don't want to take early damage and force to use a lot of their resources and have to go back for any loot.
Axe Force Clown. A repeat of this Pleasant Piazza duel that we keep on seeing. The battle to claim it. Both duos have had a player gone down. It's turned into a 1 versus 1 now. What I'm wondering is, are they going to try and close it out in a 1v1? Or are they going to both go their separate ways? I don't think that's the case, Jacob. I see the confidence from Axe Force. Nitro right into the box now, just 1 shot away from cleaning it up. And that's the second elimination. Clown Axe Force now showing why they're on the upper half of this leaderboard.
Yeah, they need to continue this momentum because after that first place, they had very minimal points. Nothing in game 3 and maybe about 4 to 6 points in game number 2. Go back on this fight towards the outside. It is 2-1 to Phantom and QNDX up until this point where Kaido, Haijo even the score yet again.
2-2. I don't think either duo is going to be leaving with a scoreline like that, Jacob. We'll get right back into the action. Hopefully even tomorrow. The deal and reason, though, 78 points. They're not doing bad, but they could be doing a lot better.
Free delivery available.
Orion kind of contesting over here. Might have to stay over here depending on where that
really
card actually is, but he has to be careful for Monier. Luckily, he's going straight up to that launch pad, so there will be no line of sight there. So this is a clear 1v1 if Marine wants to take it. Lunex is full shield, so I like the patience coming out of Marine. Not necessarily going 0 to 100 because he has that massive disadvantage because not only does he have a shield, he doesn't have a shotgun either.
Yeah, I don't think Marine wants to take this, even if he has the perfect opportunity to open fire onto Lunex there. Monier is not only up above, but I don't even know how many materials Marine has. It's just not a winning fight he wants to take. His hope right now is that they don't find him, and he has time to pick up his duo partner later on, but oh no, I think this might be
What did people actually vote? Did anyone vote? I don't think anyone voted, did they?
First, that was just one of those situations where you think he sees you, but he doesn't. Marine just trying to fight with everything that he has, but we knew how much of a mismatch that fight was before it even started.
Up here as well, they even know
not much you can do in that situation, to be fair. He got a little panic there, thinking that he was seen, but he probably would have been a couple seconds after. So it was good to take those initial shots. Eclipse Dexy, I think they went down in one of the kind of early game fights in the last match, so they don't want to repeat that, but having 0 builds right now, they're forced to take out this engagement. It's all or nothing.
Yeah, and he's already weak, scrambling around, no build, so he can't even protect himself when teammates against him get PC. And Walks and Pings know he's a solo. Even though there's a couple teams in the distance, they quickly clean that one up. And that was very, very important to clean it up quick because there's 2 teams towards the north, 1 instantly towards the east. I got to imagine one of them maybe is even Nathan and CZB because this is the same rotation they've been making all day long.
Yeah, I'm looking around. There's just too many duos in the area. If you're Walks and Ping here, you already secured an elimination and a bit of damage for the second one. You don't really want to put yourself at risk with so many threats in the area. So they are just going to continue rotating on through.
Yeah, that's what we would call getting greedy for damage, for any bit of loot. Sometimes you just got to take what you can get, even if it's a singular elimination. There's Nathan CZB, just north of Reckless Reels this time around. Different zone means a little bit of a different path when it comes to finding your surge, finding your loot. And so far, we were talking about North Zone suiting them. This time around, it does look like it's going to have that North lean.
Lolo looking to see if he can kind of find an angle onto his opponents that crash padded away, but you can see in the minimap how far he actually ended up going. I don't think they're going to find any openings here.
Do we get chicken nuggets? How many chicken nuggets is it?
Chase it off
we can get ice cream.
Got that one answered relatively quickly. It's a good amount of loot, and with nobody here on this side of the map, you could easily make your way back up that side of the mountain.
Just take a bit of time is the only issue, and time is everything, but
true.
They should be good with that elimination. Thomas and Queasy, 46 points so far. They're going to win a big game here, hopefully, to close out day 1.
Trying to figure out where their pasta is.
It's going to be Sky Scroll on the opposing end.
Let me see what it was called last time.
As they kind of begin their little turtle box fight.
Butter chicken pasta.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to think when you look at Queasy and Thomas and their best game so far is 13th. And right below them on the leaderboard is Art Skill and Shaco's with 40 points. You continue to look down, 32 points for Sky and Scroll. That's the team that is right across from them. Not too many points separating a lot of these teams on the lower half of the leaderboard, and that's why you think these little moves like this are very, very impactful, deciding your game plan. You can see their resource count very, very low. I would say the big lucky thing for them is they have a good amount of metal. So farming up the brick, the wood is probably going to be the easiest thing they go through as this rotation happens.
Taking a look here, Chapentini is not only getting pressured by a duo below them, but there's also a duo at afar taking shots. So you got to be careful where you open up here. Heals are going to come through, Flowberry's going to come through, and it looks like they will make a rotation with the crash pad towards zone here. Issue is 1, 2, 3, 4 duos in the area. So it looks like instead of going directly to zone, they are going to choose to go backwards and kind of take more of a safe route.
Yeah, forecast tower. Hasn't spawned up just yet. They're the ones who usually claim it more times than not on that side of the map. I do believe they know Pablo and Bevies is over on this side of the map, so they're being very, very cautious, which is why they backtrack. So not only do they have the chance to get that forecast tower, but they also have a chance to get one of 2 different launch pads, one at the high up top of that mountain, and then one kind of on the other side where there's a little bit of a hill.
That environmental mobility that kind of helps you get back to zone as quickly as possible for Nine and Della.
Should we just get pepperoni pizza?
The search base is kind of getting destructed as they're down below. Good news is they can replenish that quite quickly. As they'll now take a look at the opposing team who was kind of taking shots at them.
Search up Chicago pizza.
Don't want a trip though. Falling from that height will not be fun.
Almost looked like he was just about to jump on that piece there for a second.
Yeah.
Surprised if anybody else has got a little bit of jump scare there for a moment. Vico Flixie not running too far from Reckless Railways. They don't necessarily have to. Yeah, they could have started a little bit of an early rotation going towards the north, but as it's pushing towards the north, all those teams towards the south are going to rotate in this direction, maybe towards the east, maybe a little bit towards the west, but this is going to give Vico Flixie the best chance for some early game surge by staggering themselves like this.
Making sure to make use of their time. We talked about it being everything. If you're not looking for tags, at least be farming something. As Vico heard that crash pad come through, it's the cue to look for an angle onto Flipmonk and for Ryan, but not quick enough to get any shots in. Yanis Pixie also going to be building their base up, so even just 1-2 shots can be everything here on these rotations. Flipmonk now going to get tagged.
Tomato base.
It's just tough because once you see one surge tower,
let's do a deep pan.
You don't want to rotate into it too much, and then you see 2 at the top of Reckless Railway, so it's kind of a counterintuitive effort with both of those teams building those surge towers there.
I don't want any of those.
He's likely going to rotate them, especially since there's all that space on the west. The zone is pulling towards the north. Kind of see no edge of the zone right now. And we're almost at the farthest point north towards Classy, so the zone will continue to move in this direction. And hopefully a lot of teams start to take note of that, position themselves accordingly sooner rather than later. So that way, when all these other teams come in, low on surge, trying to bully you for their shots, it may not be you because you built such a big base away from everybody else.
Seeing Queasy alone there. It's not something I like to see, to be fully honest, Jacob. He's lost Thomas, and now he's kind of
Queasy's alone. That's not looking good for Queasy.
Of, you know, do I reboot him? When do I reboot him? There's too many duos in the area. It is third zone. The spare loot is inside of Nathan's box right now, so it's going to be a waiting game for Queasy.
Let's just get
it's just tough because the zone, like I said, is moving in this direction. So for Queasy, he's kind of hoping go west, maybe some south, go west. So that way, all these players that are currently here will then have to rotate, and that's going to be this opportunity to try to get Thomas's reboot card. But as of now, it started with 2 teams to the north, and now with another one rotating into the south. That's 3 teams now surrounding Queasy in the solo position.
And then it's all just going to be extras from that, isn't it? Because I don't really want to.
Switching on over to Swizzy Van, yeah. They have bumped themselves up into second place. We talked about there only being a 12-point difference in the last match from 5th to 2nd. Them being in 5th and now being bumped up to 2nd.
We got Rice. Got a random
and
extra.
They overthrow Vico and Flixie,
don't
though.
Want a kid's meal.
They've been the most consistent duo so far, but Vico and Flixie had that pop-off finish.
Don't want any dips.
It's kind of helped them create that gap between 1st and 2nd place, but this is a marathon, not a race. If Swizzy and Vanya can keep it up in day 2,
don't want Rice,
we might see a change come through.
And now Rift Island, you kind of see where it's going to go. Swizzy and Vanya seem like they have the best position to try to contest it early on. If anybody moves up there after
You really
that,
are in a world. You're in a world. Yeah.
For a moment, dictating a little bit of this fight. Here's
Honestly,
Shield
part of me
getting
forgot I was
cracked, slows down,
streaming.
turns off for a quick
Delivery.
second. As Nebs and Kudo against
Pepperoni
Clown and
pizza,
Axe
deep
Force.
pan, tomato
And
base.
there's some eliminations for both
Twister
of these
fries
teams
and popcorn
already, but they're just
chicken.
kind of
Don't want
stuck
anything
in
else.
zone. There's
No.
one more team to the
Go
west
to
that you really
checkout.
don't have to worry about. It's more so those 3 teams on the
Man, it's
east
coming to my
that to watch out
house.
for and path accordingly.
How would you like to play? Credit cards.
There's about, you said 3 teams east, 2 teams west.
Out all night.
And you have Clown and Axe in the middle of both of them. They are going to choose to take the route towards zone. Have medkits to recuperate what they've lost, so no issues there. You are going to have the duos that are on Rift Island, though. With an incredible line of sight to kind of take shots at duos like Clown and Axe as they're rotating in, so they do have to be cautious of that. Use kind of as much environmental cover as they can to not use up their materials, but the good news for them, Zakira and Easy are going to be kind of taking battles and shots.
God, I'm excited for that. Okay,
so they're not focused
37
on the
teams
duos
up.
rotating, more
Swizzy and Vanya
directly in front of them.
I just shivered just a little bit. I just shivered just a little bit. Swizzy with the mythic hand cannon. He already has the mythic combat. So right now he can pack a punch from far away. Polish and Vodus. They were the ones that quickly were in that line of sight, but you see they get targeted, quickly box up, just like a lot of teams would. Pixie and Yanis, a little slower to rotate on out, but with this rotation, they're going towards the east, quickly moving towards the north. With all the teams that were previously in this position moving towards the south earlier on in some of these zones, that leaves a lot of space for Pixie and Yanis to try to claim. You kind of see them moving up towards the north. They're going to get a sweet spot, and if the zone continues to move in this direction, they're set for the rest of the game.
So
I'm curious how CZB and Nathan might perform as well. I know Levin was talking about it. When these zones pulled up north, just like the zone we're seeing right now, they saw a lot of success in their matches, not having to rotate too far.
You better start liking my life, by the way, Paul.
We'll see if
this one isn't going to go on the Discord stream logs.
What we kind of predicted earlier on.
Because it's not really me playing, is it? It's just me, so.
Got a couple teams trying to rotate very, very quickly towards the north. Nathan, CZB, Takada, you talked about them for that quick second, and they wasted no time going north. But surprisingly enough, the zone continues to move even more north where they're currently at. So even though they're safe in the zone for now, their journey is not over yet.
It's a perfect start for this duo. Can they finish it off, though?
Why they? Oh,
what I'm wondering.
I was going to say, why then Boxy
so far, they're looking healthy.
They
have a good amount of eliminations, so if they can keep it up, this could be huge.
Imagine getting dead side to like getting up to top of slide, top like
so up north. It can be difficult to find tags. The good news is being on the edge of the zone, all the players rotating in are going to come.
Like not even water ball, like height.
In the line of sight of CZB and Nathan.
Then I guess you're not going to be able to hold people because they're there to hold people,
or make any risky peeks to get that damage. You can see Malibuka Murstache rotating from one extreme to the other extreme of the map and doing it almost flawlessly, already being on kind of a prime position in zone. My question is, though, how much damage have they done during that rotate? It must have taken them so long.
You see Chapatini, they're moving towards the north. The thing about this zone, you can kind of see a good picture of it here. Almost half the zone is north in the water, which means it is going to cut back towards the south, maybe east, west a little bit. It's very, very telling where this next couple zones could potentially end up as Chapatini over 800 damage above the threshold. They didn't even need to continue fighting, but it's all about proving a point here. That's kind of how they started to become so dominant. Just taking fight after fight. Belusi, Focus, they're the ones that are in the line of sight for now, but Chap takes a big shot. He's forced to back up. Can't really go on the offensive just yet. And Tini knows it's basically by himself, so he's picking and choosing. He shields one. Belusi, he's trying to go all in. They edit it, and that was a misfortune of an edit right there, because Chap tries to go in and takes
misfortune a big shot, forced back down yet again.
What I'm impressed by in this fight is that they not only have over 1,000 damage ahead of the Storm Surge threshold, but they are still taking these fights with confidence. Chap and Tini are going right in to their opponent's box, knowing they don't even need the damage. They just kind of want to insert that dominance and say, you know, we're here to play. If you want to take the fight, we'll do it. We don't care how much damage you've already done.
Look, all that loot coming down to him.
Has lost Mappy. Good news is it looks like he's gotten a little bit of a surprise, an early birthday present.
An early birthday present, guys.
Choices too. There's another med kit there. Some extra nitro.
Wow.
Has to be very, very careful. I would say you have to probably grab that med kit again, but the zone is opening up just a little bit on his side. So even though he is a solo, I think the zone's favoring him just a little bit in order to try to stay alive, but there's a lot of fallen loot. I think another team sees it. They're trying to move in. That's Forzen and Guden, bro. I don't know if they saw Kiro there, but they saw the loot and they say, hey, we might need that in order to take us that step further into this game.
Vico Flixie. Very elevated position here. Should have no issues. Not only getting tags, but also just planning their rotations ahead of time. If they end up not pulling zone, they kind of have a good idea of where a lot of the duos are currently based up and where the ones that might be a threat to them are. As we go right back to Belusi and his duo partner.
65 below. You can see why they were inching themselves closer and closer to a lot of teams as the game progressed. They haven't found those opportunities to land shots in which they were hoping for. And those opportunities are going to come more and more with risk as the game goes on. But Chap, he takes a big shot. Focus on Belusi. They're not getting too greedy here in this situation. They got the damage. They don't want to risk it all to try to go for that elimination, especially with the next zone yet to reveal itself. But as it does, it's probably one of the farther pulls these guys will face in the lobby so far.
Yeah, now you have to make that quick decision. We can no longer stay here. We can no longer kind of trade those shots. It's time to find the rotate as the nitro comes through and they say, hey, we don't even need the rotation. We're going right into their box. 2 quick eliminations, but Lucy sent right back to the lobby. The last thing I would have expected with the zone being pulled so far, but Chapentini, they're them.
These guys are one of the best at doing that. Just weakening the walls just enough, not taking them down altogether, just enough so they can double nitro into the box, catching multiple opponents off guard today total. But that was just one prime example of that. And that's why Lunex and Monier, they have to be careful. I know you might want that loot, try to scrounge together whatever you can, but you should wait until Chapentini leave first.
Those are the plays you have to make, though, to put yourself in the position to close out these late games. The rotate's gonna come through. No crash pads put to use yet. They have a very clean rotation due to that mountain that's kind of blocking their line of sight from the opponents already boxed in the zone. You can kind of see them even rotating in the north side of the mini-map there. Looks like they have a pretty clean route into the zone. CZB Nathan, though, gonna choose to use a crash pad. Oh, almost taken down, but the pressure's on now. Nathan has to do a good job of holding the builds here, and they cannot peek.
Yeah, I think a couple teams, even the one that landed those shots, spotted them out, quickly tried to shoot some shots and focus on those builds, but they were building in metal. They expanded very, very quickly. So they knew it was going to take a lot of focus in that direction if they were going to go ahead and try to continue to attack.
Uber Eats isn't here. I'm really excited for that. I'm just sat here thinking, oh, can't wait for my Uber
Island for now. He's here by himself without Flixie. So even though he does have a massive lead in first place, I don't know how long it's going to last.
He's pulled zone, though. This is exactly what Vico needed. Not having a duo partner. The potential of threat was high if he was not going to pull zone, but he's the only person currently in this zone. The thing is now, all the players in the lobby are going to start rotating towards him, building on top of him, building around him. So he has to choose. Does he kind of want to build another box up? Does he just want to stay exactly where he is and let the clock tick? Cammy and Seti now. The first game they've won off spawn. The first late game we're seeing played out by them. Can they make it count?
I hope they do make it count. Because it's okay to have a little bit of a slow start, but in 4 straight games in a row, that's not the start you want to have. Even with the point multiplier for day 2, it's just kind of make it harder and harder for yourself to try to come back. As Lolo gets spotted out by Cammy Seti, they make quick work of him. Unfortunately, they're not able to move over and grab that loot. But at least they can keep focusing these teams that have to rotate into them.
Shots continue to come through. Good amount of damage has been secured. Now it's just free pickings on those extra eliminations. They've already got one, but it wouldn't hurt to do more. Now kind of tarping closer and closer to the edge of the zone. Trying to see if they find more options.
Yeah, just trying to get themselves the edge of the zone. They're not getting too greedy moving forward. 1 below for Haijo and Kaido. Even with the off-spawn win here in this game, they're trying to make it worth it. Because winning the off-spawn isn't enough.
Gentleman World Shots.
25, you get very few points for your
not how
game,
you
but now they
pronounce
got
it at
themselves
all.
inside of the top 20.
Can we get that loot? No,
They have a chance
we are
to pick up
to grab
even
it.
more placement points. They have 5 eliminations. CZB and Nathan are the ones down below that are taking a lot of this team's focus.
They are going to be the ones to clean up the loot, recuperate what they might have used to get to that position. As you can see now, 42 builds to work with. They weren't even able to pick up the mats as there are other duos kind of protecting it. They are going to be forced to rotate here. You got to be careful with so much opening with the water. It opens the vision for the duos already boxed in. CZB getting a little stuck on the builds now, though. They are going to make it in.
Yeah, I like that rotation. Build up, knowing you have the nitro. You will not take any fall
Teeny's
damage on
dead.
the way down. But they still got more of a mountain to
Mustache
climb.
doesn't
2 teams are going to be the
Malibu
first ones there and
Mustache
try to keep
doesn't have
everybody
medallion.
else out.
No, he
But
does.
it's almost
Never
like a
mind.
freight
My
train.
bad.
You can't stop the zone, which means you can't stop the teams. Mustache is by himself, and this is his chance to return the favor from some of the
Pixie and
earliest solo
Janice
clutches
on
we've
height,
seen out of
that's
Malibu.
different. You never really see
Malbuka
them
clutched
on
it out in
height.
the first game. Mustache looking to do the same in the fourth. It's going to be Yanis and Pixie, though, who are in the sky. Going to be able to use that Flowberry Fizz to make sure they're safe and secure. But the issue is 22 below. They have to find shots. They have to apply pressure down on the duos below. But CZB and Nathan have been put into danger.
Yeah, they have to be very, very careful here.
And it pulls back. They needed
No
a
resources.
pullback. Oh well,
The
never
zone
mind. They
pulls
did anyway.
back. That's going to be a huge blessing, but it only lasts for so
Vico.
long. Flank coming in from Vico. He gets that first
Didn't get
elimination,
even
but there's not a
mats.
lot of mats. There's not a lot of resources, so he's going to have to do that again.
And he finds his old box, so he's getting blessed this end game.
Not a scare in the world in the 2 versus 1. He does pick up that refresh flow,
Oh,
but
it's
now going to
2v1
bring him
then,
to
to be fair to him.
110 effective HP and shield.
Cammy and
As
Seti
Yanis
still
and
up.
Pixie are continuing to maintain height, but Cammy and Seti,
They know they need a big game. They got Malibu, Mustache's mythic. They took them, but yep, they have Nitro Medallion and Healing Medallion. That's a really free game for
It's not going to be that
playstyle.
easy as they went ahead and maintain their position well above, but Sadie, Cammy not done just
Sadie.
yet. They break them down once more, and this is where they're not going to challenge for the high ground just yet. 10th zone, they still got
Vico's
more time to
15
go.
health.
Vico's
Get running
staying
on by
alive,
two.
but very
Dead by
narrowly.
everybody.
15 HP and
Ozzy.
shield that goes out the window as Akira and Easy enter the box.
Pure Easy continuing.
Cammy
to
gone
hold
up.
on strong.
Seti's dead. Cammy and Seti dead. Cheeps and Pixie basically got good in this game now because they got all medallions that are left. Apart from if they don't have a medallion, then you really care about that one. No.
Hey, when both teams are making it happen from the POI, they even look towards the backside of the zone, find another couple eliminations,
Top 6 right
trying
now.
to steal that loot as quickly as possible. Zone is pushing them in. The
Janice
time
and
is
Pixie on
definitely
height.
running
It looks like a
out.
Janice
and
win, to
Pixie,
be
they're
honest.
smiling ear to ear. Nobody really has contested them
Nobody's
other than
really
the one
gonna
team
look
that
up
already
to
went
him.
down.
Nobody's
They
really in
have
position
space,
to
they're
look up to him
applying
either.
pressure, but the player is stuck here in the mud. It's ping, it's walks. They have the option to
Managed
play
to get him
aggressive.
knocked
They're
down,
going to
get a kill.
take it.
That's a good
Akira goes down. 1 player left.
Good kill
Their
on Akira.
momentum is slowly but surely has
Ozzy,
slowed
Izzy.
down just a little bit, but Easy's
Yeah,
still
good job,
alive, the
man.
only solo
Good
left in the
stuff.
game. He's getting pushed by 2 different teams. It gets
2
taken
G6
down by
points here.
Walks, but you have to be careful. Cheeps and Turtle are still there. They're the ones that are
8
shooting
kills
down,
on
causing a
him
lot
as well.
of the pressure.
That's good kills.
It might come down to the height versus low, the 2v2, but there's still a lot of pressure down below. Sheeps gets knocked down. Turtle falls shortly after. It's now Walks and Ping all up against Pixie and Yanis.
Yeah, this is their chance to move up that leaderboard for sure. 2v2
Walks.
situation.
Janus dead? No
Ping's
way,
already
Ping.
weak. Walks is
Oh
taking a
my
lot of
God, they
damage,
lost
but
for
Yanis
free.
is
It's
down.
win.
Pixie falls like the angel of the
Janice
night.
is not a
Ping
good
and
player.
Walks
I don't
steal
care what
that game
people say.
away.
Janice isn't good.
They clean it up. Someone
No
calls
way
security.
anyone can
Walks
convince
was
me
able
Janice
to
is a
finish
good
it up
player.
without a sweat.
Anyways,
That